I'm going to call our regular meeting of our governing board to order. Today is our annual strategic planning meeting, and as you all know, we are simulcast at all four of our sites for the wisdom of our legislative leaders, and so we are on all sites, and I'll ask for a roll call vote. I can't help myself.
Yes. Absolutely. Chairman Lewis.
Here.
Mr. Holmes.
Here.
Board Member Siegel.
Here.
Board Member Harrigan.
Here.
Board Member Halverson.
Here.
Board Member Sutherland is absent, and Board Member Martell is absent, and Board Member ex officio member Bishop here.
Thank you for joining us, Ms. Bishop. It's always nice to have our colleagues here to give us advice and share with us what's happening on in your world, too. That's important. Thank you. Okay, I'll ask you to please join me in the pledge to our flag. Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Are there any modifications to the agenda? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. This is the time and place for public comment on items not on the agenda. Are there members of the public here to comment in Pillsbury? Seeing none, I'll ask if there's any comment from members of the public in Chico. Okay, hearing none, if someone is there and didn't get to the microphone in time, please feel free to identify yourself. Are there any members of the public in San Marcos?
Not at this time.
And are there any members of the public in Corona Riverside? Okay, I'll have the agenda reflect that there was no member of the public at any of the four sites, but consistent with new law, we do have microphones, cameras, and broadcasting at all sites. Thank you. Okay, our first action item is the nomination and election of board members. The nominating committee was Mr. Halverson and myself. Sir? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I apologize. We'll just give a report.
Yes, we're nominating Mr. Lewis and who's the other one? Oh, Kevin.
Before your turn.
Great.
We're pleased that you're accepting.
I enjoyed being here with the committee very much.
Thank you. Yes, pleased that you wish to continue service on the board. For our bylaws, the nominating committee meets, we have met, and we are recommending continued service to the board members. Thank you for your service. I appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Good to have you. Are there any other questions regarding the nominating committee process? Does anybody wish to speak on this item at any site on the nominating election of board members process? Okay, hearing none, I'd ask approval and election of Mr. Harrigan and Mr. Lewis to the board for a 4-year term.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Okay. Hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. We'll continue service. Appreciate it. It's a pleasure to serve in this endeavor as we continue to change the lives of young people.
Thank you, guys.
And navigate quite a world. Okay, the next item is election of board member officers. So our positions are chairman, vice chairman, and secretary. I will entertain nominations for secretary. Come on, jump the fun. Secretary. Carlson?
Yes.
What a fine.
I nominate.
Oh, that's a great suggestion. I'll second that nomination. Chief, sir, any comments?
No, I'm just a wanderer.
Okay, I'll close nominations for secretary. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Our current vice chairman, who is serving as Dr. Harrigan.
I nominate Dr. Harrigan. Second.
Any words? Are you good?
It would be my honor.
All right, I will close nominations. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And nominations for chairman.
Well, I'm going to Chairman Lewis. There is no his role.
I have no comment.
There's no policy.
There hasn't been a second either.
Oh, I know.
Crickets. I was like,
I'm happy to second.
thank you, sir. I'll close the nominations. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, the next item is our chief business officer, certification of our audit report. You read that? Go ahead, Liz.
Yes, so, hopefully you had a chance to review the audit report. It is a clean audit report with no findings or material weaknesses or anything like that. So in that sense, it was a good audit year. One thing just to note is that this is a revised audit report. And the first audit report, the final draft was received on the day the audit report was due to state. And the error that was discovered, therefore, requires a revision of the audit report to be sent to state as well. So in the future, we are working with our auditing firm to ensure that they send us what they believe is the final draft a little bit sooner, so that we don't have to submit a revised audit report to the state the next day or a few days later.
Well, it was a healthy audit. If you look at our net assets and current assets were strong, cash is great, change in assets was positive, so we're in a good position. Thank you for your leadership and stewardship.
And I might add, you know, getting a clean audit is almost inevitably some revisions or whatever, modifications or so forth and so on. So you don't get a giant star over all the people that work on this sucker. This is not easy. So I have been through this a few times and had really made a suggestion you should do. I don't know where I was working. So anyway, congratulations. This is no small thing. Way to go.
And it's nice to demonstrate that public charter schools such as ours do follow the rules, like everyone else, have strong financial positions like everyone else. I'm proud of our charter school for complying with state law. Okay, is there any member of the public who wishes to speak at any site on the audit report?
No comments reported.
Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the audit.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, 3.4 is approval of our SART for Pivot Charter School North Bay. And for all other schools, but go ahead.
Yeah, so this is the school's accountability report card that we submit annually. We post it to our website, we submit it to the CDE. It's an overview, it's sort of just a general snapshot overview of the school, enrollment, safety plans, you know, just to give parents a general idea of the program and who we are. All of the same information is available, you know, with many other outlets, you know, on the state sites and dashboards and such, but this condenses it to one place for people to access information.
A lot of work.
I have a question.
It's nice to see you, Rachel.
Some of the data speaks to the district's averages.
Yeah.
Is that in the district to which we are?
So that's the thing, because a lot of the information is calling for 2017-18 data, these schools were not active during that time. So the CDE advised me to not put district information where it wasn't, you know, comparable, wasn't something we should compare, because it's not in all cases our current district. So there are some cases where, you know, they did have comparable information. Because what you want to do is tell a story, but you also don't want to, you know, reflect incorrect information. So you want to tell a story of who we are, but you want to be able to, you know, not compare districts that shouldn't be compared.
So this is under district. This is district. Tell me again what this is from.
Yeah.
For both sides? Or?
Yes, district information for who our district was at the year that we're reporting
Our
it.
authorizer.
Our authorizer. Yeah, I'm sorry, yes.
We're in XY district, it's there, this is different.
Exactly.
Authorizer.
Yeah.
And it's always a year in arrears.
Yes, that's the thing.
That's the other thing that confuses people.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a year in arrears. So when people look at it, they'll ask, why is it not representing the current year?
Exactly.
Because as Rachel has stated so eloquently, it actually tells the story in retrospect. And
And in this case, it went back 2 years for some data. And that just depends on when the state releases certain types of information. They don't have 2018-19, so they call back to 17-18 information. So.
And it follows the state template.
It does follow the state template. So most of it is auto pre-filled by what the state provides for us. So.
Still a lot of work there.
It's still a lot of work.
It's just collecting
Yeah.
things and keeping it together. So.
Okay, are there any board member further comments or questions on the North Bay SART? Are there any members of the public who would wish to speak on the North Bay SART? I'm going to ask for comment on all of these. Okay, are there any comments from the board members or public on the North Valley Chico SART? Are there any comments from board members of the public on the Riverside Pivot Charter School SART? Are there any comments from board members of the public on the San Diego SART? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to ask for a motion to accept all SARTs for all sites, and the record will indicate separate votes. So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion on the votes to approve? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you for your work on getting all that done. So now I think we're going to move into our strategic planning session, which is the point of today. As you know, I don't like these to go more than 4 or 5 hours, so we've never set up a full marathon. It's our best. And so today is kind of unique because I'll set this up. I appreciate our executive director made it to many of our board members actually spend time talking with us and engaging and sharing with us what the school is and what kind of some of our challenges are. I think for the first time in a long time to set this up, we are at a point where we can kind of exhale and think and really figure out where we're headed. And I think when Ms. Gaskell and I sat, and I think some of your comments may have reflected this as well, it was really a matter of twofold. Okay, here we are, 2020, our 10th anniversary, Pivot Charter School, 4 sites, growth where it is. We're steady at some, a little off at some, growing at another, but here we are. We have a moratorium. We have the rules that are widely approved. And so here we are, and so I think for the first time now, we don't have immediate challenges per se from external sources. The rules have been set. Here we are. Charters, effort. Thank you to the staff for that. It's amazing how all we've done. Officially, thank you for trusting us, working with us. And so here we are. And so I asked the question: one, do we assume that where we are, as far as not growing and stable, focusing on more resiliency, more sustainable financially, from a culture, from a staff perspective, I think I would submit that that's probably what we should be talking about, but that's open for dialogue with the board members. And 2, then how do we become better for ourselves? And that's what I challenge Ms. Gaskell with, is okay, if we assume 1 is true, then 2, how do we become better? Because we know we need to improve student performance. We know the type of school we are, we're going to be up for discussion on the bad list because of the rules that have been set here, even though sort of desperately need us. And so how do those confines? So student progress, even though our student tests be different every so that's a whole different dynamic. And so I think those are the confines. So I think Janice said Miguel's strengths with this opportunity to stress traditional strategic planning discussion. It'd be great if we could work so meeting orderly and our lead staff, and you are schools, so for you to share and engage is always helpful. I think this is the time where you're down the wall. Please challenge us. If you see as it is, help us to do so. My opening comments, Ms. Gaskell, do you want to?
Yeah.
Opening ground rules, okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Janice. As Jim just mentioned, we are, in my mind, this is probably one of the more challenging strategic plans we've ever done as an organization. I don't think we've actually had a juncture before in about 8 years. I mean, we've obviously set goals, we have improved on, but I believe we are at a juncture in our history and traditional development. So this was little bit harder for me. I'm a little bit more nervous because we've got some, we've got some things to actually make decisions on and directions to go that might be significant. I would like to acknowledge these wonderful people in the room. Just very quickly say what your name is and your title very quickly. Starting with Vince.
Ms. Megan Coffey, Coordinator. Rachel Stahl, Director of Operations. Brittany Doherty, Director of Human Resources. Kristen Poitras, MTSS Coordinator.
Liz Jones, Chief Business Officer.
And Lindsay Ryan, Director of Systems and Accountability.
Curry Wilson, for Student Services.
Tracy Williams, Director of Special Education.
Travis Bennett, Site Administrator for North Valley.
Okay, how about Untitled Chapter?
Thank you all. We have done a lot of work, pre-work, in the last 6 months. I just thank you. Thank you. This is the heartbeat of working with your staff at the local levels, bringing information up, bringing information out, and whatever we decide to do here today, these will be the people that will be responsible. So thank you very much for hard work along the way. What I'm going to do is give you these different data points, some background about where we are currently. Let's kind of get through that data unless you have any real questions about it. Just to give you a let first.
You better use it. Please be quiet until you're done speaking.
Yes, you did. More presentation I want you to ask along the way. So, we're not going to get into significant amounts of detail of what we are doing on the level because it's high level. It's not, the amount of information and detail that we give you in our regular reports. So please, everybody, kind of be sensitive to that. And where obviously we can't make decisions in a vacuum, we will try to give you the information we need to keep it sort of high level today and moving in a direction. So to set it up, we will give you again the background. We will look at where our strengths, opportunities, threats, and weaknesses are in the foundation of what everyone in the room has been hearing, seeing, and thinking. And then we will quickly move to, given that, the state of the state, which will be about an hour's position, maybe an hour and a half, because we'll talk about it. What's missing? Where do we want to go? What do we want to do? As Liz said in the last slide, these were working slides, so to speak, is that, how do we want to become a better version of ourselves? What does that look like? Because as all of you have heard me say, except for me, Ms. Bishop, recently, in the last month, I do believe, as Chairman Lewis echoed this morning, we are where we're at now. I would suggest that gone are the days where we are suggesting that, any one of our 3 small schools is going to be any bigger they are right now, because we've spent 3 years with them being the same, you will see, for example, right? So let's not keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Let's just say this we are the foundation we're going to lay this morning, some of the data being presented based on this is where we are, as opposed to this thing that, we might be able to have been like the school of 150 in San Marcos, which we know isn't going to happen. So based on just that, then where do we want to be and how are we going to get there and how are we going to be able to afford it and give our input and thoughts on that. I'm just setting it up. Again, this is very high level. This is not on a site level basis unless specific questions about that. Questions, comments, thoughts? We're going in an okay direction for the board?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we will start. I just kind of laid out what our agenda would be, so I will turn this over to you.
And just the numbers out so to crowd the point. So you'll see that we did significant growth at each school, 15, 16, 17, 17, 18, for the last 2 years. Enrollment has been pretty steady. The North Bay enrollment does look like it has a bump, but remember we did observe that online charter school that was closed, and so that makes up that difference there. But just a quick visual and enrollment wise.
Any questions? The fact that all pretty much looks the same with the exception of the last year in San Diego with the absorption of Talion. Just again, reiterate, this is who we are. The data proves that this is where we're going to be. Well, and not to mention the fact North Bay is capped as well. They can't get bigger necessarily.
If you had a 3-year trend line, it'd be right on top of it, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
One aspect to do is our attendance trends, and this is the attendance that we report to the state. These are averages for our learning period. Every month we report our attendance out. It's an average for the last 3 years. And so I just broke it up by school type. So that we trend both in the trajectory of attendance throughout the year, similar to between sites.
So I'd like to point out things. You heard what I said. This is a 3-year average. Okay, and this year, 4 months attendance month 4. Obviously, always at school, right?
That's a holiday?
It's right here between Thanksgiving and holiday, right? Thanksgiving and winter break. So let's just count on that being the case. But look, yay, good news, it comes back up, right? So again, we have 3 years worth of data to say, this is who we are, this is what we can count on. It is not to say that the blue and orange lines, which represent North Bay and North Valley, don't work their butts off to have increased attendance rates with their students. That's what we're getting from them. And this is a historical trend. And it's not to say we can't improve, but let's stop saying that, oh, yeah, we're going to go up like 15 points this year. It's not going to happen, says the data.
So we have questions, right?
Yeah.
You didn't want to talk. So
No.
So I can understand.
Yes.
One, are the drop-offs related to both loss of interest, quitting, and or, I might add, the year?
Which drop off?
Yeah.
L4?
No, from 8 to 10.
Yeah. Graduating, finishing,
So that's, why do we get docked on attendance percentage when students have completed the school year? That's just kind of how it works. Okay.
An independent
I
study.
would think you should get 100%.
John, you finished across all?
Yeah.
So in independent study, our attendance, our ABA, is based on student work product. So the student is no longer submitting work product because they're no longer generating it.
That's something we,
I'm
I'm sorry, what's the question?
Yeah.
No,
I can tell you're.
they do. Depends on whether we have this. Keep in mind also that we stopped reporting and submitting any money for any attendance after LP 7, 8.
We want to.
That's what I wanted. At LP8, there's a period 1 and a period 2. And LP1 to LP8 is our P2 attendance. That's the most important attendance that gets reported. So if you're thinking like financially, you'll want to go 1 to 8. But this is, to me, do still matter for lottery money. So that's important.
So does that work to, I mean, and that means when we get back our annual report to the district, our kids are dropping off, like, if you read this, I want to after school, like, wow, your program's so poor, if your attendance drops 20% or 10, and you go, well, I'm interested in 7, because most of our kids are completing their coursework, so you see them drop off.
And they should come out with a calculation.
It's completely just clear. Well, I don't know who they.
Graduates come out.
Okay.
Graduates come out. Continually enrolled students have to be in the denominator by law. So graduates will come out.
Okay, my other question, please raise your hand. Chat. This is a 3-year average.
Yes.
Is that can?
Yeah.
That's right. You can have attendance up here and here, and I'm seeing this.
What's
It's been consistent over 3 years, and that's why you're showing this way?
Correct. And there also has been, like the fires at both the North Bay and the North Valley site, that if you had seen the graph, like on a year thing, you'd be like, oh my goodness, it's just a large graph. So the average is able to sort of, you do want to see those fires. Okay.
Or year 1 and 3 more indicative of attendance, because the fires in year 2.
Sure.
Oh, God awful, but
But it's important to understand what drives the numbers. If these numbers reflect buyers, we should be saying, hey, yeah, this is what we got, but remember, we have this event.
But I don't, this isn't shown to anybody.
No, well,
I mean, we're seeing it.
yeah, you're seeing it, you're seeing this because what we're saying is this is the foundation of decisions that we're gonna make moving forward, and this is the current state of the state.
So this is not impacting our annual review of the school district.
No.
That's up to academic performance.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so don't be just.
I mean, we use lots of data, we do show them, but, this is more just, this is just baseline. We're not going into, we do at board meetings, although we're not doing it tomorrow, give you very detailed reports on our attendance on an annual basis, and that's usually in March or June that we give you that. So.
All right.
So these are just, go ahead, Lindsay.
No, you went back.
I went back? Oh, sorry, you're right, I did. Okay, so again, to give you a baseline of where we're at right now, it's very, very important for us to reference what our goals were that we set and that we work with our districts on, we submit to the Department of Education. That is our local, our LCAP, our local control accountability plan. And so this is something that we've been revising over the years. The state has just given us yet another template to have to follow, so there'll be some significant changes there. It'll be, around 5 of the templates. So, however, we keep refining how we're doing these and what we submit. But this is what we have right now. And it's just, these are the data points that we are using to measure whether all students will be provided and carrying the environment where students come to engage in their academic programs and school activities. We just started, and thank you for the letter. We just started our social emotional learning surveys of all of our students. So the data you're about to see here to present to you is only our baseline. All of our students took these surveys in the fall, so that we say, yes, a student who wasn't able to talk to a teacher, for example, by June, being in pivot, their social emotional feelings about that have changed. We've made an impact on their lives in that way. Also, surveys that we distribute in the spring, parent satisfaction surveys. We also use the parent surveys to get input on this LCAP. So this is the data. We don't have a whole lot of it collected, right? Midway through the school year. So on this particular one, we don't have a lot to show you of where we stand. Yes.
Could you speak to the survey design?
The satisfaction, the LCAP, or the social emotional?
Well, no. What I'm asking is, what is the origin of the design? Does it come from a state template? Does it come from a recommended practice template? A combination of recommended best practice and differentiated by our organization? Is it, so do we get guidelines from our, because they also are doing similar. So my question is, what is the time of the survey?
Good question. Social emotional learning surveys, we actually collected 10 or 12 of them, and took what thought they were all the best practices out there, and we took them and we adopted them to who our kids are and what we needed to learn about the impact that pivot has on those students in a social emotional way. So there are best practices out there, and we protected them. And satisfaction surveys, again, are actually driven off of our mission of what we say we do for kids and progress, so to speak, because that is very different than what the state is looking at. In some cases, it is the same. So the common best practices. So we do not use any particular template, and we also obviously tie it directly to our LCAP goals. As far as the kids' questions are kind of refined. We're getting at. So it's all, but it's really just tied using our LCAP as the foundation in a way as how we're going to improve life. We're moving on to the next slide.
Sorry. Okay,
time we've ever given our students emotional surveys where they measure how, whether or not we made the impact on their lives. Lindsay?
Yeah. It's our first year doing it, and we're aspect of it. But created a survey for each site, definitely year round. EC systems are right, which there's I think each site did it differently. And we're going to learn about what they did. So, our site in San Diego about in the 40s of responses, about a third of their school size. North Bay had only 8, so we'll talk about. I don't know why. And then North Bay was about 60-ish. So
Percentage-wise.
People. Yeah. Sorry.
So we know that.
Yeah, and figure out exactly what the story is. So keep in mind too, we asked a lot of our students when they first enroll with us. They also take diagnostic testing, and they have meetings with their AC 101, and so there's a lot of parts when kids first start with us. And so maybe doing that on top of it at that time is not. Maybe we wait a little bit. So we'll talk more about implementation at the site when I go to travel.
That's the first shot. This is the first shot of using it. So.
But I would say 8 is not.
No.
Yeah, right. Even 60 out of 400 isn't. Although I only think, but I'm just forgetting all that part. If this is getting into education, in some cases, it tells you the kind of kids who are receiving, and that's why I think about reading the test scores. If this is the kind of kids who are getting, we need to feel they're not getting much of anything. If you can, it's almost like 2 objectives. One is test scores, and one is bumping these numbers up that they feel cared about, loved, respected, and they feel like they can open their mouth about something, and that's why I give them the problem, which we do have the problem of. And I guess they're getting, their needs are over here, probably, and not someone's, the other one's good, but this one's got to come first, and that's the concern. This is like, for some kids, just to know they can come in and be respected, and when they're walking down the door and say, hi, good to see you. They've never had that happen in their lives probably before. So that, to me, is very important. Statistically, it's probably not real accurate, but it might be. I guess it's just what we see. So this is
It's a better view than not, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure if you're 100% confident.
Don't look at our.
Yeah. Science is interesting too.
But going back to my question about survey design, so you said, Jana, that this is the first time some of the surveys are being distributed, so therefore we're norming our own survey, which was an underlying intention of my question, because surveys, for example, that are state designed for implementation, they are normed against the responses of students statewide. And therefore, we got some other students. And we also then look at like schools in terms of looking at the validity of the response. So I just want to put that in context, but it's also being normed ourselves.
Yep. And that was to norm it to ourselves. It was interesting. We did ask our lead counselor, who's at North Bay, professional counselor, to do this. And of course, she had lots of tools at her fingertips. It was just so extensive. You know, our kids would have been like, you know, so we went through. We started over to actually look at doing top stuff. So yes, we will. And perhaps what's changing the data is there's so few respondents. The kids who are more confident are the ones who are probably willing to fill out the survey. So we got to take that into mind and get better at getting more students to take these surveys. All right. Our LCAP goal number 2, pivot will prepare students to pursue higher education. The points are the data, among other things, but these are the primary data points that we will use to measure whether or not we are meeting this goal and where we are meeting this goal. We do track the percentage of students who have passed A through G courses. That's University of California, A through G approved courses. There's graduate graduate from our U Prep Academy versus our Arts Academy. Percentage of students pass count career technical education classes. We do track that. The students completed CTE pathways, career technical educational pathways. I need to let you know, we do not have pathways right now. We have just pathways, but we don't have the established pathways that any student has actually chosen at point. If they are taking certain CTE classes that we have within our curriculum, there are potential pathways, but we do not have anybody on a pathway right now officially. Do we, Lindsay? Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, we're still in development, but it's
Yeah,
really,
we're eager. Yeah, it's an important data point. And students concurrently enrolled in the curriculum learned when we looked at this last year that we are not necessarily tracking that data very well because not all teachers are junior college classes on the document that we use internally in our student information system, and we do need to get them to start doing that. They're not required to. We're not using it for attendance. They're not required to. But then we don't have a way of tracking it. It's all anecdotal, and that's not going to work. So, again, we will not have any data for you until this fall semester report cards are produced. But this is the kind of data that we, and this is what we're using to measure whether or not we're meeting our goals. Goal number 3, people make programmatic decisions that ensure students are making progress, grade level promotion, by acquiring an appropriate amount of credits, attending school, so credit attainment, and meeting grade level academic standards, which is measurement, and achieving mastery in grade level appropriate skills. Lots of tests, as you remember, we already last year, we have changed the supplemented the high school diagnostics with what they call we thought that all because we're already too miles to the high schoolers. So what we're getting is obviously our complete state chronic absenteeism rates is something that the state tracks. So our dashboard, and we will not look good because anything below 90% attendance is chronically absent. And we only have one site consistently above 90% attendance because we are independent studies. And we don't just give attendance for showing up and sitting their butt in the school. It's based on work product. So you saw our attendance rates. We have not the chronic absentee rates, and the two that will always have to date historically been chronically showing.
Road on our underperforming charter criteria.
Correct.
And new.
Correct. Again, something to keep your eye on, and as we're talking about our weaknesses and our strengths and opportunities, this needs to come into play. SBAC scores, you did see at the last board meeting, the analysis of our student test scores. We'll do a quick review. We're at an exact pass scores. Now keep in mind, and we just met actually with San Marcos Unified, and we've already had this conversation with Chico Unified, and we will continue to have this with our other officers. Because 80% of our students are not the same kids taking that from one year to the next, it's not a very good measure the way the state went by saying, hey, did your 5th graders grow? Did your 7th graders grow from one year to the next? So we really banking on iReady and Exact Path to be our benchmark assessment, to say, officers, this child came in with these skills, then we worked like heck and we tested, here I have these skills, and then he stayed with us in the spring, and now he's going back to his high school, and they have these skills. And that has to be the crux and the important thing that we are able to show to our authorizers that we are actually doing. And I'm looking to the staff here because I want them to hear me loud enough. This is it. This is our job to be able to say, yes, we are educating. We're educating them. But our dashboards in the Department of Ed, it's going to look see. We know that. So we better have some dang good internal data to say we are, in fact, educating these students. Great conversations with San Marcos Unified and their data people, so to speak, last week, so we could go. about what other kinds of data, but this has got to be, we got to prove that they're learning. And again, what we're showing with the green rows that you're looking at isn't a true indicator of what we're doing. And we gave you very, very detailed knowledge of the last board meeting. This is just a summary version of it together. Go ahead, Liz.
So the dashboard has since come out since our November meeting. It came out in December. And so we have our status for each school site and each subject. And this is for all students who have tested. We did not get a color because we are new schools in the United States. You need 2 years of data to get color. The color is based on status and growth. So what I did was our 2019 status that we have publicly on our California school dashboard, and a note as to how to achieve each color based on our current status. And so what would we need to do in order to get each certain color? And so the colors are important because, as you remember just last time, they provide the renewal criteria for charter schools, and they really are on these colors. Orange and red is I don't want those colors. That's the denial criteria. So we really want to focus on the yellow, greens, and the blues and be realistic about what we need to do to get there.
So again, not all the staff were at that board meeting. Orange and red means that we are not renewable unless we have sat down with our authorizer and they have an agreement with what alternative data can use to show that our students are learning. So if your alternative data, if your exact path is going backwards, we are not renewable. Doesn't matter what our district agreed to using as a sample, it still has to be good data and showing growth. So, and again, we had 1 year to turn that around then. We came to agreement, as to what that data should look like, and we got a, unanimous approval because of it. A board member change. Assistant superintendent liaison change could theoretically, potentially, change the game for us. And any given authorizers. So this data has to be good every single dang year moving forward. And it should be, because you know you are educating kids. And you might only have them for six months out of 10. That's it, and you never see them. But that's why we're doing staff in there already, is to be able to say, yes, I had them for only 4 months. But look, I tested them here, and I tested them here, and here was the growth. It's just really important. That's to the staff.
Are these, I was under the understanding that we were going for the alternative procedure.
Yes.
That we weren't gonna hit yellow in some of these areas.
The state will make it orange and red and yellow. They don't.
Because
They will see
3.1,
our
2.1, that sounds like, I don't know if that sounds like.
Okay, I'll do it for a second. Yeah, do it. So,
I think this is fascinating.
yeah. So, Liz and I actually were just at our COE's LCAP workshop together, so we were really brainstorming on, because this is also really still happening. And she had said, well, what our colors have been for the last 2 years, 19 and 18, and we actually had some greens. So, it's possible. So I don't, before we were really down on ourselves, like we're an orange and a red school. We've seen a lot of red and orange on our dashboard historically, but for the last few years, actually, we've grown and set some sites up to 40 points. Now, I'm nervous to put that out there because that's crazy growth that school districts don't see it. We were talking with other charter schools, and they maybe grow a couple of points. So, we saw a lot of 30s and 40s point growth from 18 to 19. So it is possible, and we have made huge changes between those times that we think made that big impact. I don't want to be so optimistic and blow smoke, but it's
We've been playing for an hour last night. We get hammered through this stuff, right? And she was like laughing her head off.
You would have done it.
No, but she the fact that we have that volatile, we jumped 33 points. It's not different than dropping 33 points.
Right.
So that's the problem. So Lindsay's very like, oh my God, I'm not telling you when you jump 33 points because Jane will say you have to jump 33 points. Yeah, that's going to happen. But it it's just as likely that it's right 3 points because we don't know who we're dealing with.
Well, the only part of these kids is the same year to year, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
We can neither take credit
That's
for that 33 jump, then we can take the blame for a 33-point decrease. So stop focusing on what that red, green, yellow increase, decrease that the state is gonna see, because they're not the same
Well,
kids.
that's to my point.
Yes.
Accepting the alternative
Yes.
process.
Yes.
Figure out what's worth it to you to keep up.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're different cohorts of students, but your numbers are so small
Right.
that the change is, if you go up, down, we see schools, our independent study school and our alternative high school, we see that change. So, we're working on alternatives. That's good.
That's 4 different greens in it.
Great, but there's gonna be completely.
That's fine, I just want to submit green.
So keep in mind, as we went back to the well, presentation about the fact that second grade test, we don't have a whole heck of a lot of second grade graders. There's no 12th grade that they test after the 11th grade. So our population isn't even really measured.
Again, a small school, we test them with this kind of stuff. And there were kids that were really sharp. And we wanted to make sure they were going to be in town.
I know.
They were looking, family of those 3 families going to be here next Friday or Thursday. If we knew they would just so when they leave, the whole country goes down. So then the 3 people leave, they take the lowest. Right. So they double.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, any other questions on our baseline data?
Good.
Okay. Okay, so would you like me to do your presentation?
I can start and so.
Okay, we just had a 911, which happens in
So I might step out
all of our work.
and Jane will take over. So you all have seen this. These are the 13 disabilities for special education. One was our IEPs or high cost. And we said our receive more services or replacement due to their disability. So that's a reminder you to change. So this one was a godsend to me here because I hit her up and I say help, and she does all of the crunching for me. I have to be honest. Last year we had a lot of dialogue about where special ed going, what are our numbers looking like. We have that crystal ball, right? And I forecasted out that we were going to start to see everything kind of plateau off. And these numbers start to demonstrate that, and that's the piece that I want you to know. We have increase in enrollment at some of our schools show declining enrollment. Northern California Special Education is stabilizing, and North Bay is increasing. With the merger of the schools, as far as student population, it went up to 528. But our percentages are declining at North Bay.
Did you hear that? Because North Bay has been.
I'm actually totally fun around with the numbers. I remember you said that, but I don't understand this trend. Why this happens.
So,
I'm really curious, because you're an expert.
I don't know if I'd say I'm an expert. I've been in the field a while.
This surprised me going through these.
Right. Well, and I think as we go through it, what I'm going to tell you is that we see that what we're doing is working. We're building relationships. We're changing our model of instruction, and we are seeing that our students are either, one, getting their needs met and they're transitioning back to school. We're seeing some of that. We're seeing that independent study isn't for them, and we're working with families on that. But our population in the North State is stabilizing, even at North Valley, we're seeing it. And it's a collaboration piece between all of the team working together.
Whoops, I went backwards again, sorry.
So the other piece I wanted to talk about, I asked Lindsay to put this on here because we talked about those high cost disabilities. And so when we look at North Bay, ED, emotional disturbance, has increased, and the school's feeling it and seeing it. We're having a higher need of servicing percentages and times, and also OHI with other health impairment, which could be anxiety, depression, that social emotional piece that Lindsay and the team did the survey for. That's really important because we're seeing an increase in those students coming in. Overall, autism has somewhat stabilized, and we are starting to see an increase in specific learning disability, which is just academic.
Sorry, the percentages are the percent of the, special ed community, not the entire school?
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And so somebody can be diagnosed with more than one of these modalities?
This is only primary disability.
Primary.
Yeah, but they can have more than one disability, and we usually focus on primary and secondary, but this is just primary disability.
I'd just like to clarify, speech and language is very high, and my experience with that as a disability is that often students are remediated out of speech and language in the primary grades. It's rather unusual to have a student who still has speech and language after the 5th grade, it shifts into an ED type of goal. So I'm curious as to, is it a statistic? I'm interested in unpacking that statistic.
Casper Creek is a primary.
Primary, yeah.
So is the number high because the percentage in the ratio is high?
Of primary students, yes.
So the ratio of students. So
What summary are you looking at? 'Cause
Looking at SLP at the bottom, and it's 15.5%.
specific ones.
No, that's SLI.
SLI. I'm sorry, I'm mistaken.
Yeah.
I'm mistaken.
Yeah.
But again, I'm sorry.
But
it's
speech and language is primarily due to our primary students.
Right, okay. But, so I was talking about speech and language.
Right.
And we added more primary by adding Casper Creek 2 years ago.
We do have high school students that are on speech and language,
Yeah.
but it's expression and understanding the language piece. Getting me? Can't do mine.
No, go ahead. No,
And I don't need to, put too much on a small population, but just in terms of practice, that trend is, it's a bit unusual.
yes, it is. So, and you won't see it at the other,
That's just at this site.
yeah, you won't see it as much at the other sites, that's just North Bay. So I'm going to continue for Tracy. We do have a 911 with one of our special ed students come to us and they got North Bay campus. And Kareem's got to deal with it too, I'm assuming. So, this is North Valley. As we mentioned, they have gone with their percentage of overall.
Don't forget the East Coast.
We can plan parties, we can put doors together.
I like the people that civic. We do anything. Good job.
You guys hire us?
Your mom?
All right, so please continue.
Back on track. So this is North Valley's trends. 18-19, you saw that they did a pretty significant jump in percentage of special ed on your right-hand side. Those are your total numbers on your left-hand side. That is also leveling out.
I'm just going to add a comment.
Yeah.
So only because I'm looped in a lot of these students that you see a drop here, we are realizing that independent study is not successful for them. Yeah. And they realize it too.
So as you're
looking at this, what I'd really like to do, let's go back to North Bay real quickly here. What I'd really like to point out here is in 15, 16, they, just overall percentages, just start with September. You can choose any month. From 11% to now in 1920, it's 18%, but it is a significant drop since from 1819 to 1920 at North Bay. And then you look at North Valley, and it's continuing to go up. But yet, as the months go by and we realize that independent study is not working, it is going down. But even for the month of January, in the last 5 years, we're going from 9.6% to 26.4%. And then on the right-hand side, just the actual qualifying autism is going down. I do believe there are, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I do believe there are fewer diagnoses for autism these days. They're wrapping it all up into OHI, which is other health impaired. So I do believe that's why you're seeing that go down, just universally nationwide.
So who makes that diagnosis? The parent,
The psychologist, school psychologist, with batteries of tests, but I do think that just the trend these days is not, because that spectrum, as you hear, of autism is just so huge now that they're really trying to zero in on, exactly a little bit more than just autism, So I just think that is I don't think that's a pivot.
The positive thing is autism is better understood.
Yes, it is. All right. Next slide for Riverside. Again, sort of a trend of it's leveling off at Riverside. We did have a little bit of a jump this year, but I think it will level off and not continue to be any higher. So we had a jump from 18 to 24% in just the month, just September, if you're just looking at overall in Riverside. And again, I think that's also a reflection of, if you just look at our historical trends, like in North Bay, we become popular in an area and it spikes and then it kind of levels off. So and Riverside is fairly new, compared to the rest of the sites. They're, a couple years younger. So, interesting, Kevin, to your point, 0% in 17-18 of speech and language and 13% right now. I don't have an answer for that, except that we have an elementary school program there, and most of those will qualify frequently. So, and then San Diego, again, a little bit of a spike this year. North Bay has gone down and leveled off. North Bay actually has the lowest percentage of special ed right now than any of our other sites, which is very unique for the last 4 years, percentage-wise. So it's all per capita, right? So, and so San Diego had a little bit of an increase for September from 21 to 22, starting to go up a little bit throughout the year, but not tremendously. It is also leveling off.
These are huge numbers, though.
Yes, they are.
They are. I mean, no normal school, nothing like this. But they've been doing it, but it's still, and they're all trending, but basically the same way. You get the 20% or whatever, and the cost, depending on what it is, goes through the roof too. Who we're getting means their cost per student and so forth and so on gets out of whack. You get 1/4 of your kids receiving something or other.
Yeah.
In some cases, not a lot, and in some cases, a lot. I don't know what you can do about it, but that's a trend you don't want to keep having. I don't know what you can do about it.
Can do about it.
Yeah, I know, but it's just,
it's not like we advertise.
If schools check out to 10%, you would be big for us.
But isn't that our students, right? I mean, we don't advertise, but the parents talk to them about it.
I guess so, yeah.
So the schools.
Let me ask you this, something I was thinking as I was looking at these. Are we, by the structure of our learning, our educational coordinators and our supports, because we're different, more geared to serve these students more efficiently than a traditional school would be, so the cost per student to us isn't as severe? Because to me, I've had to learn and expand my own view of what a special education student is. I don't think of a person with emotional disability as a special education student. I probably was one myself as a student, so was Ralph. No, I mean, serious. I mean, in today's diagnosis. So I'm trying to understand, okay, if we're tool with counselors and our education coordinators have special abilities, then we can handle these students as well as, or better than a different, typical, traditional, non-specified student. So in that sense, our percentage may seem high, but as our course of doing business, maybe it's not this high. That's what I was trying to, am I off on that, or is that?
Let me give you the flyby, then I'm gonna have Liz give you actual numbers. So, we have a separate set of teachers called education specialists that serve special education, in addition to speech and language pathologists, educational psychologists, professional licensed counselors, occupational therapists, physical therapists. Those latter ones, you know, we hire out, they're vendors to us. I was mesmerized by the fact that Tracy has 19 direct reports under her in special education because of the number of employees that we have that have to serve our special ed kids, not to mention all of the vendors that she also has to be in charge of. Liz and I were doing an analysis for the other project I'm working on for you on admin structures. So that is a separate servicing. Then we have our educational coordinators. This is called general ed. So both groups of staff serve a special ed student. We have multiple salaries going to support that special ed student, okay? Whereas general ed, if you don't qualify for special ed, you just generally have, you know, your admin and your educational coordinator, your general ed teacher. Multiple salaries, multiple budget points. So in the old days, and we get paid, trying to give you a simplified version, we get paid for special ed students on a per ADA basis. It used to be, if you qualified for emotional disturbance, you got X amount of dollars to serve that kid. It used to be. It is no longer that way. Now it's just, okay, you have 150 kids, here's all the money we're going to give you to serve special ed kids. We don't care what they qualify for, blah, 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 blah. Here's the money, right? And if that kid costs you more money than what I just gave you, off the rock, dips into your general education budget. We used to call that encroachment. I like that word because it encroaches upon our general fund. They don't call it that anymore. I don't know why. They just like to change terminology. Liz, why don't you throw out a couple of numbers?
I think Kevin, would you like to add something here? Into the process of something.
Well, no, I have a related but different question.
Okay.
Because, I understand what Jane is saying about staffing, but what I heard your question to be was, because we're known, because we have a differentiated model of service, our parents and or students, do they then look to us to enroll because they haven't been successful in another setting?
Yes, and then.
So to follow that in terms of special education practice, you know, one of the data points I'd be interested in seeing is how many students enroll with us with active IEPs. Because if a student comes to us with an IEP, then by law, we're required to first, you know, to evaluate the IEP, to go through a process to evaluate the reasonableness of the student's assessments and previous qualification for services, and then determine in an independent study model if we're able to meet the IEP in an independent study. And so that's a population of students that if we can meet their needs in independent study, we're required by law to meet their needs. Another population, and I don't know how many of these students we have are students who would come to us, and then over time, it would be determined that they need differentiated support. And that's what our multi-tiered system of support is for, is to try to meet the students' needs prior to their formally being assessed and moving into a designated disability or designated population. Because some students, their needs can be remediated in another way. The other piece is so does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
there is one question and part of that is, you know, so when you're looking in a comprehensive school district, when you're looking to reduce or try to decrease your percentage of special needs students. You can look at all of those pre-intervention strategies, in a multi-tiered system of support, and you also target your population, because generally, students are identified, from age 2 to 10. It's very rare that a student is identified with a new disability from, let's say, 11 to 18.
Correct.
So I'm just presenting those, when you look at those different, characteristics of who the student is, I think that informs us then about our response. Because we're going to respond to those different students in different ways.
The second part of my question was, can we respond in a more effective or efficient way, more cost-effective, I guess, than a comprehensive school district because of the training? Would feel like the answer is yes.
No,
the
answer is no. So let me explain.
So this is more alarming to us, numbers on top of
Each of
this.
these kids is getting extra money towards it, all of them. Some are getting a little bit, some are getting a lot, but they're all getting money put on from this one fund they get. And in most cases, this will not pay the bill, so they take it from the general fund to pay for it. Every one of these kids is getting something extra because it's required.
It's required, so no, we can't do it any more complicated.
Maybe it's a lesser thing, but if it's a more severe case, they're all getting some extra money put in, and that's my concern about this number. Legitimately, they should be, I get that. And if I was a parent, by God, they're gonna get it.
And that's
The
also why
reality-
I'm asking who.
Yeah, and by the industry,
Okay.
how much can you put towards something after a while it becomes like, oh my God.
Go ahead.
I need to make one correction to what Kevin said, and it's semantics as far as how we verbalize it. He said, we determine whether, as they're coming to us, if they're special education, whether we can meet their needs. No, we are not allowed to do that. That is against the law. We have to enroll them, regardless of whether or not we think that they can, we can meet. I know you knew, I knew that.
You enroll them, and then
You're just clarifying it for us.
Yes.
I don't understand.
I knew he understood that, but they have to enroll. We must enroll them. Part of the legislation that just got passed was specifically designed to say, charter schools, you are counseling out, that is against the law. Your special ed population is way too low. You're elitist, knock it off. Get with the program with the rest of the traditional public schools in this state. You remember at Riverside County Office of Ed, the board member said, what is your secret sauce, Jana? And I said, what secret sauce?
So is it worth getting a bill that says, okay, in lieu of that, should we be pursuing a bill or a corrections of legislation that says, if our percentage is over a certain amount, we're deemed exempt, or we're a charter school that's helping comprehensive schools, so we don't have the red boxes?
I'm trying to go that way with Townsend.
Well, should we not continue that?
I don't know, we can put that on our.
I mean, we should be in a different group.
Opportunities.
As an incentive, or you're serving these students, and they need to be served, this puts us more in the red box. You can't have it both ways.
Yes.
So if we're gonna serve these students and serve them well, then we should have a separate, which is what counties. Huh?
Our chances of it happening are slim, because it's just.
These are the rules by God, you gotta live by them.
Yes, I hate to say.
But then they doom these children to failure. The legislature dooms these children to failure. I'll say it on the record.
As long as we.
If we accept these rules, we're going to fail every year, unless we get forgiveness from our school districts.
Yes.
And we're taking these children in to help them, which is what our school's meant to do, that we've been sentenced to.
Then my thing is that, then you tell the local school district, you're doing this, we're actually going to do it cheaper, and you're going to save money by having us do it.
But you have to accept this.
But then you have the issue of how you pay for everything else, so it's in the.
So Gina, how do you react to that?
We have similar issues, they're all our students. We make a huge contribution from our general fund. I will not use the encroachment word because.
Contribution to the general fund,
Yes.
thank you, that's the terminology.
So we are in the same position. The bottom line is special education is underfunded. That's the bottom line.
Nationally, not just in California, nationally.
Right.
It's been that way for decades.
Yeah.
And identification is increasing with the refinement of an understanding of special needs.
In matter of fact, up until this year, we must provide services for preschool students who qualify for special ed with no funding whatsoever until this year. We just got, last year, actually, some funds.
The other thing you reminded me of was these are your students.
Yeah, so.
Never mind.
Now, our percentages are higher, but our populations our overall populations are smaller, so 1 or 2 kids throws this thing off, remember that. That doesn't help our budgets any, it's just, our percentages look dramatic. The national average right now is 10 to 11% of students qualify for special ed. High school goes down, elementary, if you just separated them out, it's higher because of the speech and language issue we talked about earlier, it's more like 12 or 14%, but we are still double that in some of our school sites, right, almost double that, percentage-wise. Also back to, I want to speak to specifically what you raised, it's an excellent point. How you get a student with an active IEP who enrolls versus you qualify a kid for special education down the road. I will let Tracy answer it. I know she probably knows better at the top of her head, but I'm going to estimate we only have about 3. Liz, you know?
I do know.
Okay.
Total pivot-wide, it was like 10.
10
10 students.
So 10 students out of 1,000. So we are at 1% qualification. So in other words, newly identified. Thank you. Newly identified. So basically, 99% of those students are coming to us with an active IEP. It's not us going, oh, maybe they qualify. But yes, we have to do that also, but only 1%.
No.
Right? That's 2%. Right? I would have guessed 3%. So.
Dropped it previously.
Yes.
You shouldn't have dropped it.
That's a good point. A lot of them exit special ed, but then when they come to us, they want to come back in. So the answer to your question, Jen, full circle. There are some efficiencies to our program in serving special ed. They're not money savers, but there are some things we're doing. I do believe our general ed, just speaking in general, our general ed population, these people up here, every special ed kid has a general ed teacher. And our special ed folks work like this, constantly, hand in hand, all the time, which creates some efficiencies that may or may not be dollar savings. You've heard me say this before, but having a director of special education to refine these things, to watch these things, who is as good as she is, has saved us a lot of money. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
You've heard me say that before. We are getting more severe cases that had we been in a different situation with different directors, I'd say we have some school closed by now. I'm not being overdramatic by saying one of the ones we're dealing with right now, right? So all of those things, having that director, having the staff that we have, having the site admin that we have that work with Tracy. Travis said the other day he's worked with Tracy and spent more time talking to Tracy this year than he had any special ed director for the last 6 years that he's been here. That is healthy and cost savings, but overall, no. It is impacting our general funds for sure.
Have you looked, and you may know the answer, I'm just looking at it from a distance perspective. Are there more students at specific grade points, like middle school, elementary?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but I can easily.
Okay.
Our session. Did you want me to speak to that?
Yes, just the cost part, Liz has the actual numbers. I asked her to run these after I had done this presentation, because I'm like, ooh, they're probably gonna want that. There we go.
So we did some various perspectives of cost analysis on special education costs and how much of a contribution from the general fund it has been over the last several years. And then also, not considering that, but just looking at the actual services we provide, specifically special education-wise, on top of the general education stuff. How much does that cost us per student with an IEP on average? And one of the things that I'll be digging into more is that our preliminary analysis has shown that over the past 3 years, the amount of money we spend per student with an IEP on direct services has increased quite a bit and disproportionately to the increase in the amount of special education students we have. So when our special education population went up, maybe say 10%, 5%, the amount that we spend on average per student went up more like 20 or 30%. So the cost of the services that are provided per student is increasing. So we're trying to figure out, is that because we are better at identifying their needs and we're being more responsive at initiating services when they're needed, when maybe their prior IEP didn't recognize that? Or is it that we are getting students who already have more needs than we used to get, if prior had fewer services? So we're looking into the reasons for that, but we do know that our costs are increasing a little bit more than they should be considering, the numbers are increasing.
Well, and I think we have a fair assumption here to say because of the increase in OHI, that I think what we're going to find out, and we will find out exactly what it is, but it is the type of kid that is coming to us and their needs. And so they're higher need kids, they're multi-need kids. And I'm going to guess that that is the reason why those expenses are going up, because we do have efficiencies in the system, but that is anecdotal and it's just based on these qualifications. So, but I do believe that's going to be the answer. We haven't had that many ED students before. We haven't had that many. The OHI, they're just throwing all things into OHI, that category. So that's.
And before you skip, I was just going to throw in one thing for 30 seconds. And it's because look at September of 2015 with 6% fed, and now we're at 22. Okay, our population of ECs, so people supporting our students, has gone up by 1.5.
General ed.
Yes, so the total number of teachers is basically the same, but that's gone up more than 3 times. So while I appreciate you guys focusing on the money part, because this is a strategic planning meeting, you really have to put a little footnote here that we're going to come back to and say, how much time are we asking our teachers to spend now on special ed that we never asked previously?
That's a good point. Make sure we discuss that.
That's my
Maybe we
point.
keep.
Well, and that's building upon what I was asking, and trying to identify who the student was, because it will correlate to the type of instructional services. Because I'll just conclude by the goal of special education is to support the students in their ability to accommodate and modify their own disability and for them to exit. That is the goal of special education.
Yes.
And so, again, it correlates to it. I mean, we're speaking.
That's why you have
the
that,
reason I'm asking these questions is because I think it correlates to action goals in terms of instruction and support and staff.
My thing would be, if you told a regular classroom teacher that courses for kids will be special ed, they wouldn't go, really?
And that's what we're looking
Here
at.
you go, it's crazy. So, yeah, that's.
I appreciate all of your comments, because yes, having a higher percentage of special ed does not just impact our special ed end of the budget and staffing, it dramatically impacts the general ed teachers as well. And admin, and accountability, and curriculum, and, all right, sorry, go back. Just some wonderful successes with special education, consistency with special ed staffing, our director, our education specialists, our counselors, our psychologists. We've added to the mix because you have to respond to your students' needs, but these are very much the same peeps that we've had, at least for the last 2-3 years, and may I reiterate, she did not put herself in that line there with director when she wrote this slide, so I did. Having a consistent director who's in here to make policies and procedures smoother and more efficient and watching our butts has helped us a lot. Clear policies and procedures, blended service learning, our MTSS process, Kristen and Lindsay, and developing our multiple tiered system of support to try to be a little bit more efficient with special education and have them work together has been a huge part of it. Our site administrators are very much taking ownership of that MTSS process as well, and especially with special ed, and now it's all falling on Kristen's shoulders. It's moving from these shoulders to that shoulder. Communication and collaboration, building partnerships outside organizations with districts. We'll get into that a little bit later. Student learning and meeting their IEP goals, which is great. That's exactly what Kevin just spoke to. The point of special ed is to exit them, get them to meet their goals. And we have dodged quite a few legal bullets. Make that bolder. Current challenges with special education, money and counseling. I am currently helping to write 3 grants. Statewide grants, one in Butte County, one in Riverside County, and one in San Diego County, with other charter people and the county mental health departments, as well as our school districts, to get more funding for counseling, to get specialized funding for counseling. We are in on that grant, and I don't know, San Marcos probably is too, right, Gina? Yeah. So I've been kind of pushy. We learned that charter schools could do it up in Butte County, and then I stuck my big nose into San Diego and Riverside and initiated it in Riverside, and I'm dovetailing off of the other charters in San Diego, so I'm pretty excited about that. Lots of professional development needed to support all of our teachers, which again is an additional expense and outcome of higher special education populations. For example, one of our brand new teachers just sent us a request for professional development to go to this training. Do you remember the exact wording that came across our desk? The training is about essentially de-escalating kids. We have a situation right now, they're out there de-escalating it, but trying to de-escalate some of the, with some of these emotional issues. And he's like, I don't know how to work with some of these kids. I really need some more training. Bam, okay, and we're bringing people in from the outside as well for everybody. But trauma-informed care was another one that we did with all of the staff. So, Liz, that was the state of special ed. Before I move on, are there any other questions?
I would just like to support that because in the current credentialing model for general education teachers and in the induction model, having in the program at the university level and then an induction facilitator, there is not a very strong component to prepare our teachers for special ed.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, and they're coming and going, what? Like you said, Tom, what?
Well,
Quarter of my kids are special ed,
there used to
what?
be very specific coursework and training that was required to clear your preliminary credential, and through the induction process, that just is not as targeted in terms of preparing teachers, general ed teachers, to even understand what an IEP is or a student support success team or an MTSS process. So we really have to educate our beginning teachers for the first 5, even maybe 10 years of their teaching experience. It's when the rubber hits the road that they need the training.
Yes, absolutely. Kristen leaves next week to do a pivot live training from site to site to train teachers on SDSSC process as part of MTSS. So.
Wow, that was the goal 40 years ago.
Yeah. All right, so that is the state of special ed, and the reason why it was a separate pullout is because you now know how much it impacts our general ed program, how much it impacts who we are as an organization when we look at our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and where we want to go from here. So it had to be a separate pullout. Liz, would you like to talk about the state of the financial state of the world?
Sure. We have 2 slides up here just kind of taking a look at the final audited financials from 2018-19, and then kind of what our current forecast is like. We'll receive more information about this tomorrow in the financial update presentation, so it'll be much more in-depth. But from a strategic planning standpoint, Jana and I have been looking a lot at just sort of, the structural nature of our budgets. We want to make sure that, when things come up that are sort of one-time things, we take those out of the mix. We need a structural, sustainable budget that can cushion those random things that come up. So that's our goal, to always have wiggle room whenever we can. But so looking at last year's financials, the final audited financials, we ended up doing all right pivot-wide with a positive operating income, about $225,000. It was our first year with new authorizers, and some of those shifts at some of the sites actually changed the funding that we receive. There are certain sort of caps and thresholds that are affected by your authorizing district or the district in which you're physically located. So for example, at North Valley, our percentage of unduplicated pupils, which is sort of the higher needs pupils, is much higher than our authorizing district. But the amount of funding we're able to receive for those students is kind of limited by our authorizing district. So we actually saw a decrease in our funding due to changing authorizers because their percentage is lower than ours. So some things like that, we switch authorizers, the funding formula does change a bit based on who your authorizer is. So it did sort of change the structure of our budgets and how we project a bit. So that's what I mean by when I say LPFS of charters is influenced by authorizer demographics. So we did see some changes there, particularly at North Valley. One other thing that, when we talk about, our structurally sustainable budget, this $180K in local revenues that we received last year is not something that is going to be in that structural budget. It is not continuing. We provided some services to another LEA that, was very helpful to us, and we were able to generate some local revenue. But that's a pretty big chunk that's, not in the standard structure budget. So that was not straightforward. We already spoke to the fact of, fires, various disasters and emergencies, and how that really affects our revenues as well as our expenses. The J13A waiver process thankfully helps mitigate a lot of our costs. So we can still recoup our general attendance revenues in those cases. So we ended the year pretty healthy operating income at North Bay and Riverside, more or less break even at North Valley and San Diego. Was pretty good considering North Valley was the site affected by the Camp Fire. So as we look forward to this year's current forecast, this is the year where all of our Prop 39 Clean Energy Jobs Act projects are being completed. And those will be, some of them are done, a few sites are still doing the final things. 3 of our sites had revenues from those over several years. This is going back as far as like 2013, 14. So we received revenues over several years, and there was no expense associated in those years, little to no expense. So we had this extra revenue that was restricted funds, but we hadn't spent it yet. Once we made sure that all that money could be transferred to our new CDS codes with new authorizers, then we said, okay, we'll make sure and pull the trigger on those projects this year. So those will be sort of, we'll have some one-time expenses this year from any funds that didn't get used in the actual cost. They have to be paid back to the state. Some of our bids that we got from contractors did come in under budget. They were very efficient, which is great, but it does mean that we have this one-time hit to the books of that payback of any excess funds. So due to that, our operating incomes this year are kind of taking a hit because of that, since it's all in one lump sum. The actual projects that are completed, those costs will be depreciated according to our financial policies and procedures. So that expense hits the books over several years. Over 5 years. But this one component of paying back any unused funds is a one-time expense that's all in this fiscal year. So down here, oh, right, so the without payback. What the operating income would be without the payback is in,
and again, this is not Liz's financial presentation. We'll dive in more detail into this. I did not say it, thank you. We will get more detail about this tomorrow. I stopped. I went to dive into the end. So we will have more detail on all of these finances tomorrow. This is the state of the state.
But this is showing certain costs going like this, and our own going like this. When we, really?
Leveling.
Okay, and then when we talk about how do we become a better version of ourselves and more sustainable, we address this or we don't. So we have to figure this out at a high level.
Yep.
Okay.
That's why you got the state of the state of the state.
and certain costs that I just wanted to highlight go like this, and then that's right, one-time thing, and then it's gone forever. So like the Prop 39 is a one-time thing, it's just a spike.
This is a new slide that is not in the packet, so up here, and this was based after I met with some of you individually. Thank you, Steve. Steve asked a very valid question, but I asked Liz to give it to me. So, what is our cost per student, this is per ADA, not enrollment, at each one of the school sites? All right, so in North Bay, because of the economy of scale, we net, so to speak, $472, right? After all costs are taken out, all special education, all everything. Revenue, expenses, revenue minus expenses per kid, bam, okay? Now, don't look now, if you multiply that by the ADA, you'll get these numbers. They all fit in, but I wanted to break, Steve asked me the question, and I was very curious, and so I gave you this slide. It's a very helpful slide to me. In North Valley, per kid, per 130 of the kids that we have, we are exceeding our revenue, we are expending more money by $73 per kid, okay, than what our revenue is generating. In San Diego, currently, right at this moment in time, it is $209 a kid. Now, I was very curious, I said, Liz, if I took out the $16,000 facility rent that we added for elementary 2 years ago, what would that number be next year? It's 70. Oh, look at that. It's just like North Valley. Imagine that. They're all the same size schools. Duh, right? So if I take out, and again, this is current status, but I did want to ask that little question. What would that number be? Revenue minus our expenses. If the expense I don't have at San Diego is that $16,000 additional facility rent, what would that number be next year? There's my answer. See where I was going with this?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Riverside stays the same because, and again, this is with those Prop 39 one-time expenditures out, gone. Okay, so this is sort of next year. Okay? Follow me, any questions? Okay. Thank you, Liz, for those numbers, by the way. I think they're incredibly helpful. Right? Okay.
Go back to
Yes.
the bottom line, Riverside stays the same.
Oh, because, I'm sorry, and I should have, you see the top line, cost per student this year with Prop 39 one-time payments out, Riverside didn't have any Prop 39, so theirs isn't going to change. Theirs is today what it's going to be next year, which is what it was last year, sort of, I mean, in the end. So, because there's no Prop 39 affecting, these numbers are including the Prop 39 except for that last bullet, and these numbers, and so Riverside is the same. It's having Prop 39 not in the equation doesn't change Riverside because they didn't have it. So, okay. Now, that's us and our finances. What's going on in the state? There will be supposedly some magical one-time funds in various little categories. We have no idea what strings will be attached. We kind of know maybe what categories they'll be in, but the bottom line is, as far as ongoing revenue, there will be no increase to ongoing revenue in the state of California for K-12 education other than this projected COLA. Period. End of story, says the governor, despite the fact that there's lots of money. $24 billion.
So the pastries are here, if you need a little refresh, come and go as you please. The coffee will be here in about 3 minutes, so just as we should continue, but just for people to know they're out there.
So, Jim, what we were saying is, based on the preliminary budget, there will be no increase to revenues in the state of California for K-12 education in the foreseeable future, other than these little pockets of one-time monies that we have no idea what that's going to look like. And one-time monies are not ongoing, they're very, very specific with lots of strings attached. They'll be very, very targeted. So no ongoing monies. And these are the estimated, at this point.
Some of the expenses are going, so we have to figure out to operate more efficiently or change our model, perhaps.
Yep.
Can we go back to the new slide again?
Yes.
I need to stare at it.
Yep. Revenue
No.
minus expenses by kid.
Yeah, no, so effectively without Prop 39, you know, San Diego, we're losing 20 grand.
Yeah.
20 grand, I mean, is that 100 kids?
Yeah, I mean, more or less, round numbers. Again, unless we take out that facility, which clearly we need to do. Because that second number is 70.
Yeah.
If I take out next year, if I take out the $16,000 of the revenue. You see, the budgets are so small. I take out something like a $16,000 rent, and I go from -2 on a kid to -70 a kid. Woo-hoo! Right? Because it's just such a small budget.
How many kids?
That's 20 grand.
I think it's
My zeros didn't work out.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, wait a minute. Okay.
Now,
What about $30,000 or $40,000?
It's this last bullet, not what's below, it's this last bullet.
Yeah, this is without Prop 39, this is with Prop 39.
No,
It's the
opposite.
I mean,
Without, yeah, with it taken out.
Yeah.
It's that last bullet, times the amount of kids they have at their school. Yes, that is exactly right. And then I took the San Diego one step further.
A few zeros and you can comprehend it.
I took the San Diego one step further for next year and took out $16,000 worth of a rent. To show you how dramatically that can impact.
Yeah, no, I got it, okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, got it. So, that's the governor. So, enrollment data shows us that the smaller schools are probably not getting much bigger, right? Is everybody good with that?
Yep.
And North Bay is capped. Special education.
Because, remind us,
North Bay is
is
capped.
that as facility and teachers? One or the other?
No, it's actually based on the fact that you all said you did not want a school site above a certain size for many years ago for purposes of program delivery and being able to serve our kids.
Didn't we drop below what we could hold because of available teachers?
And yes, we don't have any teachers to give to our kids right now.
Yeah.
We have a wait list of 68 kids, 970 now, I don't know.
I want to make sure the board heard that, you told me that.
Yeah.
So how long have you had that wait list? And I don't want to go off the tangent, I want to keep focused, but
Only last year and this year.
I'm super interested in how the wait list may impact just how the school, operates, performs. I'm very interested.
No, I can give you the quick flyby on that. Our general ed teachers are required to serve 25-to-1 ADA to FTE ratio. So roughly based on their attendance rates, about 30 kids on their plate.
Yeah.
That's the statewide must, okay? And so theoretically, I have 10 teachers, I can serve 300 kids, right? If I don't have those 10 teachers, I can't serve 300 kids, right? We start, a wait list has been in and out of the picture for North Bay for about 2 years. Let's just leave it at that, very super quick.
Yeah.
However, we have never, and this is what I presented to you in November, we have never started a school year with North Bay full and having a wait list. We generally usually work up to it, and by like January is the wait list. This year we started with a wait list from day one for the most part. Now then, of course, we had to take out all the no-shows of the kids that said they were coming but aren't, and then we let a bunch in, and so sometimes we clear that wait list because we lost a bunch of kids for whatever reason, but now we're not clearing it because I lost 2 teachers at North Bay. I can't clear that wait list. What I am doing, and you all have asked this before, and you'll see it in the slides, is we are using teachers at the other school sites to serve some of those kids, and we have a plan for it, and Craig and Jenny and myself and Corrine have been working. I would say we've spent 20 hours in the last 2 weeks just on this issue alone. What teacher over here in San Diego can I give how many kids at North Bay, and how many kids off the wait list because I got people at North Bay, in San Diego and Riverside, and it's a nightmare. It's a pain. We're doing it, and it works. It doesn't work as well.
Okay.
So, other
Definitely
questions?
constrain our discussions for the future.
Yes.
That's appropriate as the executive director.
So, special education data shows that we're probably where we will be on special education. Hopefully what the whole point of that was to show you that we've kind of leveled off on trends. Fiscal data shows us that the small school site's annual operating income roughly is 35 to 40K short a year, right? That's what Tom, we were just doing the calculations there. I'm overestimating because remember there's always these little outliers that will hit us. The non-public school down in Riverside, which, by the way, is the reason why that is upside down. Because that student didn't qualify as emotionally disturbed ones, we get no reimbursements for them, and so that's a $40,000 hit to our budget. So there's only outliers, which we have to allow for and plan for. But just generally speaking, between 20 and 40K a small school site, right? Are we all in agreement that that's what you saw?
Yes.
Okay. And then the state budget is not giving us any relief in sight on that. So, moving on. Next piece. I really want to caution us, I want you to kick me, and I just want to say, this next state of the state is a work in progress for the last 5 months and will be for the next 2 months. But you need to be aware of it because to make decisions about what we're doing in a vacuum is not good, but I'm not going to get into a lot of detail on this. We will be bringing you more detail in March, but you do need to know this. And it's part of what Craig spoke to earlier. With this huge increase in special education, it impacts our teachers, our general ed teachers, not just our staffing for special ed. So here's what we've been doing. I'm going to summarize this slide. This is the good news. We've gotten really good at serving kids. These guys are amazing. The teachers at the school sites are amazing. We started as this virtual thing 10 years ago, and now we have this incredibly robust program. And the result of that, this is really important for you to hear, the result of that is that we have been adding more and more and more and more and more to what we do. Hey, that's great. And we've been able to do it, right? We've been able to do it.
That's not what I told the city council last Friday.
We have been able to do it. We're maxed. There is no more that we can add to general ed, special ed, admin, and for the first time you've ever heard me say it, the executive director. The first time, the executive director. We are all there, and you should be very proud of every single one of your staff. And for the first time, we are saying, can't get any more out of this, right? So, yes. Now, these are 2 pages, you can spread them around. This was not in the board packet for obvious reasons. This is the result. So hold on, stop looking for 1 second. I should have just sent that out.
You should make it.
I know that. I
want to read it.
So you all know, based on my, I did that for.
That's over.
We've been working on this since last spring. We're working on it hardcore now. We have I've already told you guys this. We pull the plug on a grenade, we throw it into something, and we blow it up. And that's what we're doing with the EC job, so to speak. We've created a committee. We're meeting with them. I have Lindsay running even more data than she normally does because we are trying to make this very, very data-driven and make our decisions data-driven.
You don't get this right.
So now there's a second. So we are analyzing things such as number of students on a teacher's caseload to student completion rate, course completion rate, credits, and attendance. We're trying to see the trends and see if there's correlation. We're doing student time on site. How much time are they coming to site and what does that do to their overall performance, right? And their attendance and their credit completion. We're trying to see what the correlations are. We're looking at number of tasks of the job and the time allotted to complete them and whether or not that impacts the teacher's attendance and the kids' completion rate. And there's all kinds of data we're analyzing, lots of meetings we're having. I had a 2-hour-long meeting with just the North Bay staff yesterday. So that's all the detail I'm going to give you on that.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
It's like doing everything for everybody, and it's a little inch thick and not a mile deep sort of thing.
Yeah.
And when we would do this, we would say, we're going to be good at these 3 things. Okay? And we're going to put the money and the time and pick those 3. We're not going to do a really good job. We're not going to tell anybody this. So we're not going to make a big deal out of it. We used to say social science in some cases. In some areas, we just know whatever it is. We're not going to do it like a thing. Not at the time or money. If you as a school or a teacher want to do it, fine, but that's not where we're going. I'm not going to tell anybody. That'd be a thing to say. But we picked out these 3. We're going to be the damnedest best people you ever saw in these 3 things. The money's going to go there, time's going to go there, and so forth. Then if you want to go there, but you're fine. And we got to know what those are. At the end of the year, if anybody asks for money for X, I'm going to say, remember the 3? The answer is no. You've heard me say no before, you better hear it now. But that means therefore we know where we're going, when we get there. Somebody said, you're gonna go on a trip, where are you going?
I'm just gonna-
Oh, we're to New York, okay, we'll eventually get there. So my thing to you would be, you gotta be able to say no to stuff, not broadcast it. Well, we're gonna do these two really well. And that's a tough thing to do. Some people might have to think, I love this over here. Good for you. But that's not these three or these two or wherever they are. See, that's a painful thing to do. But you have to be able to do it, then you feel satisfied, okay, I know what I gotta do. And this is the whole, that's what they're testing, therefore I better do something about that. But in any case, you need to be able to say the other part, I'm not going to be good at this. And to be able to articulate it to ourselves. I'm not doing this over here. I like it, but I can't. You won't. You want to do it, fine. You have to get to that point. When you can do that, then you got a better handle on certain things coming in. Otherwise, did you know there's 5 billion things you could be doing? You're crazy. Can't happen. So my suggestion is a hard line on that kind of thing. It's your job to pull that off and to get people generally to agree. Not everybody's going to agree. It's not going to happen. But you're going to come down to those basic 2 or 3 things we're really good at. But I know what the other ones are not good. And I know what they are. Okay, got it, guys. And be able to, and they know that too. And they're going to go, and then you can move on. But you just got enough money for time for these things. In some cases, not even those 1 or 2, because the first one took so much time. God help us all. But I feel satisfied we made progress towards them. Now I feel good about that.
And Tom has just very well summarized what we're doing here today. Right? That's it. We got to figure out what those things are and how we're going to be able to do them. And that's it. So thank you, Dr. Allison. Good stuff. All right. Again, I'm not going to get into a lot of detail on this because this is a work in progress. But I do need to say to the board, and I mentioned this to you all individually, it will, whatever the it is that we're doing, will result in changes to our program. Again, that we will get more details on in the future.
Oh, wait a minute, there's a lot of wires along here. So be careful as you walk through. If you break a computer, you're lying.
Yeah, you know,
Maybe we should take a phone.
sure, that's fine. Yeah, no, I don't need to finish the statement. Let's just take a
Well, I
break.
think the statement is important.
Okay.
It builds, I mean, it was a conversation you and I had individually. Because building on what Tom said, there are also cyclical mastery, and the reason you create short-term and long-term goals is that there's an accomplishment of mastery that comes with best practice, and so therefore that is no longer a primary focus. It becomes either secondary or just an adhesive part of practice, because everything can't always be a priority. And so just again building upon that it's just as important to be able to decide we do this well, so we don't need to focus on it as much, or it's no longer aligned with what our outcomes are, or it's no longer required. Because that's the other piece is that we as educators have a hard time giving up what we love to do, and so that makes it even socially and emotionally more difficult.
Yep. That's well said. And that is, if and when you turn over the other document that says, we're not going to go over it, it's for your information. It's public, I'm not worried about that, but those are the EC surveys. You just ask Lindsay and Jana, let's just get their input. Make it simple. What do you love about your job? What do you not like about your job?
Just, it's a process, you calm down and what happens. So just to remind everybody periodically what those 2 or 3 things work. You said in September that these 2 or 3, then about this time of the year, something pops up and we forgot about what happened way back then. It's important to remind us, remember, guys, and your job is to we're not, we get to meetings and what are the priorities? You say, okay, now let's have a conversation or whatever it is. But you have to remind them constantly what are these things we're trying to do. And it's pretty simple to articulate.
Really?
And we don't want to be deviating all over the place as time goes along.
And they're codified in the goals.
Yes. If you look at our data, that is what's driving what those priorities are. Who we're serving and what they need. And it has shifted. We used to say, I'm just giving you one example, we used to say, get a kid in front of the teacher's eyeballs 5 days a week and their student performance will be higher. That is not what the data is telling us.
okay? We've been doing this for, 8 years now with sites everywhere. That is not what the data is telling us. The data is still telling us, get a kid in front of a teacher and they will improve. But that whole 5-day-a-week thing is not what the data is telling us. No, we're not a babysitting service, we're an independent study school. And giving you a hint as to what you're going to get in March, right? And what we're working on. And you have the printout of some of the EC survey results. So, again, what you're going to get in March, none of it is going to reduce our costs. So what we are looking at the program, and yes, we're going to be making changes, but the net result is not going to be a reduction in cost. If anything.
Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because what I'm hearing is we're going to have to think about people's place. It'll make their lives better, easier, and actually work.
Yes.
Okay? And when you do that,
Good thing that.
you're lowering costs.
Yeah.
You can hire people, you can retain people.
Yes.
I hear you.
Good. And that is all of it. It's teacher retention, teacher satisfaction, admin retention, admin satisfaction.
No.
And making this more efficient. We're looking at, there's lots of places where we can become more efficient, and Lindsay and I and the rest of the team are looking at this. So don't think we're ignoring, we're not just going to keep doing the same things, but yes, that is the ultimate goal. And just as a side note to back what Ralph is saying here, we are finding that data is showing us it's not about how many students are on a teacher's caseload. It's about the 92 other things we're requiring them to do that impacts whether or not they have the time to make sure that the kid finishes their courses and gets attendance.
So you should be allowed to take a break as well. Well, that's what this is adopting.
Yeah.
All right.
So our experts, we're going to talk through what you all have said. I think some of the senior team and Janet have outlined some of the constraints or things they see. I think we're now here from the educational coordinators, they know what they said, what they enjoy, what they struggle with, and we definitely have some challenges there. So I did ask Janet to collect this information and share it with us. Then with the idea of, she has pre-populated slides, as you saw, with strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I want the board and team to collectively add to, or subtract, or adopt, that is the image that we believe are our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then I think from there we'll have a picture of so what. And I think that's kind of how we're proceeding, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so go ahead.
All right. Students are learning. Program is refined and providing remediation at many levels of support. Staff care about our students a lot. Emphasis on a lot, and that means all staff, not just teachers and ESs, it's admin as well. We're serving a very needy population. I think we've outlined that. We have a very, very strong governing board that guides us and gives us direction. We have 3 small supportive schools, and even though North Bay is large to us, it's small in the grand scheme of things. It is still considered a small school. We have exceptional employees, bold underlined explanation point. One of our strengths is special education. Clearly, or people would be flocking to us for it. And our authorizers are pretty dang amazing. I think it's a very stable feeling with our authorizers at this point. So again, keep this global. As far as pivot-wide organization, are there some things related to our LCAP, related to who we are, that you would want to add to this as being strengths? Because I am going to do, go working record, basically. I mean, I'm working. So, anybody?
And so while we're at the other sites, so we're preparing to go through our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. If there's anyone tonight and you wish to speak, you can let Ms. Jones know. We'll make sure you have an opportunity to do as well. Thank you. So strengths. I guess we agree on all these strengths. Or you add new ones. We saw them in front of us. Okay, others. I would add, I think that we're earning community equity and credibility in our community.
That's a good call.
we've been around long enough, we've been consistent in our chambers, our communities, our word of mouth, so I think that's important.
And we have a lot of that community engaged in recent times as we've gone through our position.
Yeah. Yes.
I think we also have organizational competence. We've gone through some things that the charters and some other challenges were like, oh man, even the storm at the state last year.
Yeah.
Well, we have some challenges and constraints, we've gone through this enough, we know we have what it takes
To survive.
to do this.
Yep.
Others?
Rachel, you've been here 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, and I think a lot of the stuff I put when we talked about it was what you did, like, our strengths are how we connect with students, but I think you have that on the first slide. I really do think, yeah, relationships with students. And not just teaching staff, but all staff, you know, the classified staff really reach out and are close to our student population.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, invite my colleagues who worked on the curriculum committee, to speak to the fact that I believe that, we've strengthened our curricular offerings and, our assessment-based differentiated responses to our students, and that it was done purposely and intentionally based on data and to meet the instructional needs and outcomes, but also to inform teachers, you know, how they can facilitate meaningful instruction for the student.
Yeah.
Good, Ms. Speaking.
Did I?
That was great, Yeah, we continue to we just had an iReady webinar where teachers are learning more about the benefits of these programs. I really appreciate that the systems that we use are flexible and allow some customization. So when we hear that our students are struggling with an assignment, we can actually restructure the assignment and provide more support within the curriculum itself and load it in there so that all students benefit from, let's say, one teacher rewriting an assignment to make it more clear and things like that. So we're really utilizing the curriculum in a lot of ways, just instead of just buying it, giving it out.
I also believe that we're a capacity building organization. I mean, when I look at all the people in the room, everyone is different than you were a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I mean, that there's been a consistent responsiveness and reciprocal dialogue between the board and the executive director and staff to build capacity in individuals in response to the organization's needs, but also the talents and desired professional growth of staff.
Mm-hmm.
I want to reinforce one, because the staff cares about our students a lot, is that picking of the rose ceremony and that kind of stuff. And you can, it's all true, we all know, but then you get to hear about how you impacted somebody. You don't always know that. In some cases, nobody talks about it, maybe 20 years later, remember you, and you can hear about that, which helps everybody, staff, parents, everybody else, how the school did something, someone reinforced that. The other one, I think, which I mean, you relate to it, Kevin, but we're always getting better. Frankly, if you're not, you're in trouble. But I mean, we really are trying to get better, which in some cases means reducing some things we're going to be doing and trying to do other ones better or do a better job at it. But I think that's continuing, that we're trying to get better at what we're doing. And it never stops. It should stop. It's the fun too.
It is the fun, it's the challenge. Weakness is only in the sense that it's impactful, that we're constantly holding up the mirror going, what the heck can we do better? Okay, now we're going to go do something different. So it will land in both places, but I agree. And again, you have to have a certain kind of staff at credentialed and classified and admin level to be able to constantly be willing to hold up a mirror and say, what are we doing? What can I do differently? What am I, you know, I mean, the fact that we lost 4 teachers this year, I'm really holding up that mirror for my reflection and organization-wide, and the fact that, you know, we know how the teachers feel about their jobs, which is impacting all these people at this table and the classified staff. We're going, putting the brakes on, we gotta do something different. So it is really. So, I'm sorry?
Okay, I'll give you one.
She's handing us.
No, please don't give you one. No, okay.
So, and, you know, I'm not blowing smoke, you are a board that will allow us to do that. You don't micromanage, you don't get in our way, you don't say no, stop, you know, you don't say stay the same, this is driving us crazy as an organization, you're gonna bring down the whole kit and caboodle. And there are some boards that would do that, or there's some boards that would even understand why we're doing it. And so we have the board support in being able to do that.
Yeah.
I am not. I've worked for other organizations where you hold up a mirror and you're done.
Reciprocal.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, other strengths? Good list, lots to work from. Okay, here's our.
Some of our weaknesses, obviously, budget, sorry.
I didn't want to look at that. I think another strength is that our facilities have, we've shifted our facility model to support our program implementation.
Yeah, I think you're right. It needs to be up here. Until March, when I bring back program changes, and we're like, we don't need any of that furniture.
Well, but I mean, our education, the offices, the admin team all being housed together.
No, I agree.
There's the central locations for transportation.
Exactly. Yeah, Jenny and I were joking last night.
Professionalism of the, you know.
Yes, they look awfully nice too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, when I think of North Bay, you know, when we met 9 years ago.
Yeah. Wait a second, what? Yeah. Yeah, literally. All right, some challenges, weaknesses, I should have just said challenges, but it doesn't fit in the SWOT.
Using opportunities for growth.
Budget, it's really hard to keep playing the shell game, cuts every year and moving students around within the small schools. Clearly, this was mentioned in everybody's, but in different ways, and I just summarized it. You know, it's constantly, you know, like I said, the 2 teachers, one in Riverside, one in San Diego, and how many kids can they serve in Chico and Santa Rosa, and squeezing and looking at it and freaking out because LP4 dipped. Well, we know it's really historically trend-wise going to come up, but we need to be able to prove that and hope for that, and oh my God, is it really going to? All of that. It's really, really exhausting. For everybody. I mean, obviously, it's not just Liz and me who are looking at this and having to do, you know, show it to you and give you confidence in us, but they all feel it too. When I asked that San Diego teacher to serve that kid in Chico, you know, they feel that. I mean, so it's not just the people who are, you know, having to implement this at the upper level and come up with the decisions. It's the people who are having to do it.
Themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Goes all the way down.
Oh, absolutely. To the kid.
Yeah.
I mean, and you don't look now, but that's really what we should be looking. We should put
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, how many times can we switch an educational coordinator on a kid in a year? You know, that's not doing that kid any good.
These are kids who have some challenges, like how does that help?
Yep. We pick carefully, but sometimes we can't.
So we have a pretty focused weakness
Yeah.
with dollars.
Yep.
I think the Riverside site is a problem.
That's a problem.
That is going to be a big sucking sound.
Yep.
And we have to figure that out soon. I feel like that's just kind of hanging out there.
I know it
And
is.
we're paying now, and that's a problem.
Yep.
So we have to figure that out.
Good. This came up in the EC, in the educational coordinator responses about salaries. You know, we've had this conversation 900 times and we're not going to keep beating that dead horse necessarily, but it came up, and it's affecting the fact. One, again, gap, weakness, whatever, we are not implementing a CTE program. We are doing parts of a career technical education program, but we can't without more staffing and or more money and or something to support it. We just can't. It costs money. CTE costs money. You need someone to coordinate it. You need someone to implement it. You need. So we're doing the best we can with what we've got right now. Great one. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm having difficulty in the third bullet. I'm struggling a bit with the word experienced. Because perhaps, and again, I don't mean to split hairs here, but I think so many of my colleagues I talk to are experiencing challenges with hiring because of shifts in the whole profession of teaching and learning. And the number of people going into it, looking at graduate programs, the complication and the number of years it takes to get a credential and salary. So perhaps hiring qualified. I think that any educational institution has a difficult time bringing people with multiple years of experience to their agency because our profession isn't really set up that way. You know, once you served in a district or served in a position a certain number of years, you don't have that same fluidity to change positions because of your placement on the salary schedule. And so I don't know if experience, I think we want to have qualified staff. I don't mean to.
No.
I guess I have this conversation, lady. I'm looking at Gina because, and also, I mean, I know, teaching at the graduate level, I mean, the programs are empty. I mean, there's so many different variables going on right now.
So I did clarify, thank you. Our entry level is strong. It's decent.
So that's how do you qualify? So I mean, qualify people. And if they're qualified and they come with experience, but some of the best people are. I mean, we all have to start. And then cap out, and even exactly, but we cap out much sooner, much faster, much lower. That's it, right there. Sooner, faster, lower. And can I say historically, that's been true, I mean, in many, many organizations, that's been true, and there's been historically this revision of adding more units on the salary schedule or adding additional stipends. I mean, that's kind of another historical aspect of our profession.
I don't know why this one didn't end up here. I thought it had, but nationwide teacher shortage, there's no doubt about it. And in particular in the state of California, but it's actually a nationwide teacher shortage.
So I'm sorry, Jane, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Wait, that's the wrong one. Sorry. That's the wrong one. Sorry. No, that's okay. Let me just go. Oh, I know what I did. Oh, sorry. Trying to be creative here. All right, that's where I wanted it. Okay, other challenges, and I encourage you all, staff, to chime in here, please, as well, board, but, some of our challenges are really known by the staff at the table more than anybody. This comment here about grading needs staffing, that is one solution. There are other solutions, but that was one that was echoed very frequently throughout the document that you have in front of you that EC shared. So I didn't want to not show up here. There's other solutions to grading.
Okay. Well, the reason we do start looking at revenue diversity, the challenge is that we do not have a alumni and constituent relations money within the House. So raising money outside will be a challenge.
Okay, true. Could I add to that, Steve, or do you want me to make it separate? Grant writing? Okay. Other challenges, guys, you know, your jobs aren't always easy. Other than the fact that, you know, we can't clone you all, that's a challenge.
We serve, you know, expensive clients. We serve students that have, you know, real needs. Special ed, for example. Right.
Yeah, I don't want to put that publicly. Everybody needs to.
Yes, can I add something onto that?
Yeah.
Just from when I was at the North Bay site yesterday, I heard some valiant efforts that were actually quite successful of staff members who are not native Spanish speakers, speaking Spanish with parents on the phone. And I was amazed, to be honest. You know, so that is something that I say is weakness is sort of diversity of staff in terms of the amount of, you know, readily available, immediate and, you know, just getting more diversity so that students are represented in the results that they interact with.
And that did actually, it is on there, you will see that. I am so tired of trying to have to translate and use Google Translate to do my, you know, have meetings and send out emails. It's super time consuming. The technological ways we have of doing this are just, it's just super time consuming.
Well, so Anna was learning, you know, but her job, especially.
And we have been utilizing translation quite a bit, so we, you know, for several languages, including Vietnamese and, you know, other ones, but, you know, it's something that's not always available.
When the parent calls you. Yeah. Or text you.
And you have staff like Anna who've done professional development and worked really hard, but that's just a few people.
Yeah.
And Jane, may I add something?
Yeah.
And this kind of goes off what was being said earlier about the salaries and teacher shortage. With the fire 2 years ago, the fire this year, the PCG rolling colleges, and they're saying 10 years of that, we're finding that we can't even get the young and inexperienced teachers to stay in this area anymore because of the cost of living here. The housing is just so expensive, and even if you could afford it, there's not enough of it to go around. And so even a small difference in pay between us and another district, they're much more likely to go to another school just because the housing, the commute.
Other things pivot-wide that are challenging us. You all, come on guys, we're your teachers. I mean, obviously we have an entire sheet here. I tried to summarize it, but I saw her lips moving. I don't see that very often in the meeting, so go ahead.
On mine, at least the legislative changes that have to come in.
I saw one that.
Really, 91 bills? You can't keep up with those?
It was pretty easy for me, but I need to work on it.
I would actually say about 80 of them are personnel labor law stuff.
I would think that maybe it's doing too many things with too many people. I mean, setting priorities, back again maybe, but the need to set priorities and not try to do all things for all people.
And also communication pivot wide, like we always try to work on it, but like something, we have a good idea at one site, is it being communicated globally? Because we're just all spread out and not next to each other.
Having 4 separate facilities, 4 separate CDS codes, 4 separate organizations within 350 miles is a challenge for everybody, not just your executive director anymore.
Promoting from within is a really good opportunity for the staff, but in terms of taking our most experienced PCs who are the most capable of teaching younger kids and taking them away from that.
math and science teachers around the trip.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately, a lot of people who have moved into pivot-wise positions were former math and science teachers. And a lot of them were also, a lot of them were from North Bay as well, unfortunately. You don't get Christian back. Sorry. And by the way, I didn't mention it earlier, but you see a new face here that is around this table. You know that Lila Henderson left this year. And you know that we've been holding our mirror up, and I had all these things that we wanted to do, and lots of them were landing on Lindsay because they still had to get done and making her job undoable. So when Lila left, we took the opportunity to have redo what we were having Lila do and put them all onto Kristen, as well as a bunch of the things on Lindsay's plate, and that is what Kristen is doing here. I didn't mention it earlier. All right. Anything else that are, you guys are biggies? What are our biggies? Go focus on what Dr. Halverson was saying. What are our top priorities here? If it doesn't show up here, we can't say it's a priority, right? Of things we want to get done.
What keeps us from doing what we need to do.
Yeah, thank you.
Being a better version of ourselves.
Yep, excellent way of putting it.
Well, see, there's no reason to belabor, because sometimes and then make the situation worse, and you start getting false. And facilitation, keep moving.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean we can't come back, but,
We come back.
you know, you can tell, you like my shirt? Yeah. No, do you like it? Yeah. You like it? Hey! You gotta keep.
What kind of, is this my button? There's no right answer to that question. All right, opportunities. Additional revenue streams. These are all possibilities that I have generated with the help of others, and just Liz and I working together for 4 hours on Monday. Additional monies, state and federal monies, many have strings attached to them. For those of you who are superintendents or assistant superintendents at the table, I'm referring to possibilities of Title I monies. We do not vote for those, but there's many, many strings attached and do not result in necessarily a lot of money in our hands. Fundraising, big events, small events, what have you. Increased attendance rates. It's always a possibility, but you saw. That's why I showed it to you. How much of a possibility is that? I don't know. Hypothetically speaking, my gut tells me that what Ralph said earlier could result in some higher attendance rates, which is about job satisfaction and happiness. Renegotiating our contracts, something that Chairman Lewis had brought up when I met with him. Is there a possibility to renegotiate some of our big-time contracts without having a negative impact?
It's not a revenue stream, that's a.
No, that's
cost.
Cost savings.
Cost savings.
Yeah.
That's its own deal.
No,
There was an opportunity.
But it's not an additional revenue stream.
No, I just changed it. Cost savings, revenue streams. Grants, you know, I'll just say grants. I shouldn't be putting a negative there. All right. Opportunities, revising programs to support students and staff. Talking about that already. Opportunities, special education. We actually had a district contact us and say, what a student placement for the next 4 months before they go into high school. We think independent would be a great option for them. Here's why. This is their student. And they said, we would like to pay you to serve this student. We will pay for their costs. We would like to pay the students. Lynn and Tracy are working on this, and basically they're using us as an NPS. Well,
and then.
all about the contract.
Problem, because you're public.
But here's the reality. That child in that school district, that parent could disenroll right now and
That's what I mean.
could come to us without them even offering it for 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just the fact.
That doesn't mean they can still do it later on.
I get it.
Oh, I love it.
All about the contract.
I love the thing, I think, the parents don't care.
There's probably things wrong.
Oh, bring it to the, I want to stay there.
Building relationships, and that kid could be here now, and he's not. But I hear you full. I'm saying it's a great opportunity, and it's not the good.
No, but that's one question I have, maybe it's a place, but as we talk about our special ed programs, it's like, should we be talking to our authorizers about, paying us some money to do that work? I mean, how do we fund that? It's more expensive and it's become a bigger portion of our budget. Like, it's dishonest, like grants, but that's.
Good luck.
There's no grants in special ed, unfortunately.
They got their own problems, they don't.
A lot of people feel strongly that our liability insurance company should be able to cover some of the costs that are not covered under the special ed revenue funding sources. But again, there's been movements towards that nationwide, and all benefits. It's not gonna happen. There are some, our SELPA is very good, our special education local plan area, in having buckets of money that we can tap into in high sources. But again, I mentioned earlier, this one student did not qualify as emotionally disturbed, but we had to put them in a non-public school placement, and therefore we get none of that money back that we would if the student had qualified as emotionally disturbed. And we can't sludge those qualification numbers whatsoever. We have very high, ed sites of high integrity. So it's interesting. People have pursued those things in the past. How do you fund the underfunded special ed nationwide?
I'm going to yell at this by the whole room, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Say it.
How come we don't tie service with our funding? It's like, hey.
So it's illegal.
It's
illegal.
Is it really? I mean, if it doesn't qualify for funding, how does it qualify for service?
Because that's federal law.
Yeah.
Because you're being private sector reasonable right now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't.
No, I hear you, but no one's yelling at you. What you just said is completely
You give loans
rational.
to people who can't pay?
Are you kidding me?
Yes, you are being perfectly reasonable. The answer is because we have to. We cannot do what you just said.
No choice.
And again, that's why those laws came out that are really targeting certain charter schools that are still doing this in the state of California, where they do say that. There are some out there that are still saying that. Oh, I'm sorry, you're emotionally disturbed, we don't have a program for you. That is illegal. And the people who just got arrested, they were doing some of that. Of course, they were going to jail for other reasons.
Arrested.
All right.
Education, get your address, that's an opportunity.
We just talked about that briefly. It's not a great opportunity, but.
How is that an opportunity?
Well, I was just talking about.
More sustainable.
Because there are some ways to cut some costs. There are some ways to better serve our kids through special education and the collaboration. And we have been given these opportunities recently to actually make a little bit of money off of it, possibly.
So I had some sublease sites on the programs. As we think about what assets do we have, what do we have that doesn't impact our core program?
Yeah.
We have a finite set of hours, and we have these facilities that are really good that sit empty on weekends and in evenings, and so I think that's something we definitely have to look at for revenue potential or cost at our cost. That was something I throw out there as we were talking.
Yep. Non-monetary benefits for staff. I've been writing to you about this, and this will come up in March. We're not going to be spending a lot of detail on this, but again, it leads to you have two pages of things that I don't like. What can we do to help with that are non-monetary benefits to improve morale and culture? Marketing to virtual students again. We are not focusing on the net that we used to when we first started as a Rhodes Education organization. Our marketing is not, you will very rarely see log in from anywhere, any cafe, in your own living room. Because again, of the premise that we all have been assuming was true, and that is getting the kid to our wonderful facilities results in better performance. And that is a true statement still. What we're really zeroing in on is how much. Right?
Well, and aren't those kids, true virtual kids, you have to have a unique student for performance to meet performance. And two, there's a lot of other places serving those kids too, so the competition probably for that kid's high.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a high barrier to entry, there's a lot of money into it to try and find the kid. So I don't know, I mean, I can still get it on the list, but I think
it's an interesting point.
It's an
interesting point though, because you impact the test scores by, restricting who can do that. You can.
But those kids take more service from our teachers, right? You're saying that you probably have, or you go after this subset of kids.
No, that is not. That is
We shrink our traditional kids and increase.
I'm not saying we shrink. This is just a. And who was it that brought this up with me?
I think I did.
Yeah.
And the reasoning is that you don't have to expand your footprint, your facility. Right. You can have teachers working from home. in that model, so you can have more students. Now, there's a lot of things I hadn't thought about, like, how do you find these students? And is it harder to teach these students?
Well, one of the things I brought up, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But the idea is that you could add a cohort of students that don't require a footprint.
Core of the race is,
But I'm thinking about that, I'm saying, okay, you could restrict the students to do this to those who actually can handle it, who are, will do better, right? I mean, and that's kind of what I'm thinking, and that influences in different ways. One test course.
Right. I was looking purely at the financial, which is to increase revenue without increasing, except for the human capital, which is important, without increasing the infrastructure that's required.
But I'm thinking to myself, if you define the students that can do this as people who are really more self-starters and who kind of have their own stuff, for less maintenance.
Right.
So the way I was looking at this wasn't to go after virtual students, it was, is there a way that you guys can help students be successful through other non-staff, or technology program support, requires less touch by you per student, and also not having students allowed to be at site 5 days a week or 4 days a week. I mean, right now, we say you really should come 2 days a week, 3 days a week, the EC right, and we say, now that's a boo for some parents who drop their kid off and they have that daily care, if you will, which is not, a selling point. At the same time, maybe ECs can't handle all those students in the physical class at the same time.
You gotta manage them all.
Right, so I don't know if that's something we have to figure out, how that balance.
And that is what we're working on, and the thing that I wasn't gonna spend a lot of time going into. However, let me just give you an example that support exactly what you're saying. So this is your regular general ed teacher. They have 30 students.
Yeah.
They have 30 students on their caseload.
Okay.
Of which maybe 10, sometimes 8, sometimes 15 are virtual, right? So that's that person. They have about 16 things to do on the school site. I'm exaggerating, but it's a lot. They're doing workshops, they're doing the program time, they're doing tutoring, they're doing this, that, they're dealing with the CPS thing that just happens, and the kids have a million they have to deal with. Every kid that still is taking up, endless amount of time, right? Because we have such a high number of those students. It's daily, right? So these teachers, our regular general ed teachers, are doing all of this, and they have to grade, and they have to do work samples, and they have to do attendance, and they have to, while they're also taking care of all these kids at the school site every single day. Okay? These are virtually 100% of their caseload of kids that are from the school site. And have to do some of that. Robert Byerton and Sarah Campbell now.
Okay.
They do have to grade. They do have to do work samples. They do have to do attendance. But they don't have to do all of the other stuff. These three are in the top 10%, 15%, depending on the month, of credit completion and attendance. And they have 45 kids on their class. It's not any more magical than these teachers. These teachers are amazing. It's just it's going on. It's totally away from it. And what we're learning is, and this is all part of the EC Grenade Committee, is it still is back to the original premise of Pivot. Relationships. Relationships with the kid is what makes them successful. Yes, it is easier to follow up with a kid when he's coming to the campus or she's coming to. You don't have to have the time with what caseload of kids. Constantly talk to them, not once a week, but 3-4 times a week. And you have to have the time to do that. And that's what puts them in the top 10, 15% because they have that time. So what I have these guys. Yes, but we're tied to a statewide. So it's 25 to 1, 88 FTE ratio.
No, but they don't have to be 1610.
Right. So there's, yes, absolutely.
Is that not to exceed, or is that
You cannot exceed it. You cannot
But
exceed
you can be lower than that.
Yeah, but that's going to tank our budget some more.
Understood. I'm just trying to understand what the
No more than.
home says.
Yes, no more than. There are a million different possibilities here. That's what we're working on. That's what we're not going to go into a lot of detail on. I'm trying to give you an example of what it is we are analyzing, because all the things that are going through your head right now on how to do this, absolutely, we are all brainstorming. You will get a draft in March of what we're looking at doing, and it won't be definitive until probably August, but we're moving it. Doesn't mean it's going to save us money.
You evolved from that model.
Yeah.
Right, check this, because of lack of credit completion and things like that. So,
Yeah.
Well, this is
That's-
smart.
So we had pendulum swinging. We gotta get the pendulum back in the middle a little bit, right? Anybody want to add?
I didn't mean to be flippant.
No, I got it. No, I got it.
But I mean, if we're speaking, lessons or areas, and so I think when you say find more time,
Yeah.
there's a multiplicity of responses that, you know, again, some of those things that are already said forward to seeing what staff. Yeah, historically, and just Katie, we had a student to do 1 to 20, and there were lots of reasons and lots of various alternatives and rationale for that. So what it didn't change, it shifted from 32 to 1 to 20 to 1, because it was really an invitation to change the way by which you taught. And then, again, budgetarily, 2008 during the fiscal crisis, the state waived that and went back, you know, to 1 to 2. The LCAP, there's new guidelines, so it's 1 to 24, 1 to 26, I think, was before. And so I'm just using that historically as the way you've had to constantly be thinking about our teaching relationship and the priorities of things we do.
We're not throwing any baby out with the bathwater, but we're analyzing how we can do it better, and what the data that we now have for 10 years shows us.
Sometimes the word
That's what
change that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Maybe you need a bigger tub.
Yeah.
Rachel has chips.
All right, so, moving along, that's what that marketing to virtual students is. Again, it depends on where we go with this, and if we go back then to that, whatever, come into flourish. I've already talked to Tripeti Smith about ideas. Other opportunities.
Are there costs that we can move to our authorizes or subcontract out?
Gotcha. That is actually an interesting idea.
It's in revenue areas, it always came down to, can we afford to do this? And it's an optional, but most things aren't. Some things are. Not, we wouldn't admit to that. We have to stop doing certain things. That's right. It's not, we don't want to do that, but it's not paying. It's, we had one program that we got a little bit of money to save. It was a great program, but we were in a rush. And it had to go. Because it wasn't paying for itself, and it wasn't special ed. And it had to go away. It's important. So, very good. So there are going to be certain things I will guarantee in there somewhere that you actually.
It's not just about fiscal resources, it's
Well, it's time.
time.
Right.
But that's what we're talking about here.
Well, good business too. Some things that they really need to do. And in fact, you've got people to do them. The reality is not paying for it. And that's one thing. But there's additional things to do. That's time and consume the people. I'm looking at compliance as a trigger. Yeah. I think there's a case to use, even though you get people to do it, and it ain't paying for itself. And therefore, it's got to go, unfortunately.
And so in the end of this, I think we're going to spend time on these slides, right? So we identify the strengths and weaknesses, we identify our threats, we're going to come back to these opportunities and assign members and team how we can try and make differences in areas.
An example of the one that Tom just gave that we already did this year from last year is we had college counselors, right? They were getting a stipend. We're supposed to have classes with them, and meet with them, and blah, blah, blah. What ended up happening is the same 4 students were meeting with this teacher on a weekly basis. This was things like kids. I don't know, an hour and a half of time. I'm sorry, that's not a good use of that human resource. And more working with service, but that is, you know, at the time could not be supported. So that was where we had to
You just have to find it around the time, you know?
Yeah.
We don't have to do that.
I think that, I think we've already talked about, is it CTE, technical education? That's handmade, or just something that we want to do?
Both.
And so it's something that we're not doing that we need to work on. There may be some projects and programs that we are doing today that are nice to have, but at some point, I think it would be interesting to see those start sides of the lecture and put some dollars to them. How much does it cost to do X, Y, Z?
Some of the states are doing, and we can put it out. And stuff. I'll do the work. I can meet the state department. But I just heard the state said, and I'll say, when I come by and ask. I'm not going to do it. That's what I think I do certain things really well. You like to, but you can't. So, but it requires me to do something I'm going to do. It won't require. It's a pure answer in this case. I can put it, at least not ever happen. So I need to make it those kind of things like that, where it's just quick.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. It is one of the reasons that made me, you know, my 4 a.m. freaking out about all of this and where thoughts about title. We do a lot, I don't want to put a number to it and be wrong, a lot that I don't want to be funded. We're already doing them. So we might as well get the money for them. And I don't know 100% if that is a true statement that it's not going to add more strings to what we're doing, more constraints on what we're doing, so that's what we're looking at. That's what makes Title I. I'm already doing all those things that I used to do at my old school that I had Title I money to do. I might as well get the money for it, right? If that's a true statement.
Yeah. Technology. We had to write a couple of pages in statement. So we give a job and say, just write this thing. You know, and that's at least a bit. Make it. And that's we're going to make it. But we wanted to.
On that whole, the thinking about whether those things that we're doing, I have to go back to the purpose of Pivot, your mission. If it's to pivot kids back, or if it's to prepare for career and future. And yeah, we're looking to indicator, college career indicator, and there are 6 or 7 ways you can read that. So you want to look at that, and TTE is one of those things. So again, but it goes back to the mission. So,
No, you're right.
that is
There's
critical.
tiered ways to implement it. There's tiered ways to implement it.
Yeah. We're close.
And I wouldn't say close, but correct. And we, as an organization on the educational side of it, are looking at the CTE because only about 1% of our kids are actually going on to 4-year colleges. So if we're going to meet that requirement of our LCAP and of the state requirements, the only viable answer is CTE. So we better darn well do it, because the other one, the college counseling, wasn't working, right? So it could have been senseless. It was useless. It wasn't aligned to who we were serving. So, all right. Anything else? Opportunities?
And comment on that?
Yeah.
So I was just thinking about the amount of, it's one of the great parts of our program, but it's promising we can always do everything we want to do, field trips. It's in our contract that we do, UTC does about 2 field trips a semester, which if you have 14 ECs, like we do that 20 field trips a semester. And we usually get the same group of kids doing each one.
Yeah. She's right.
If we switch field trips, that's a chunk of money that we can be dedicating towards CTE.
We're not doing 28 field trips a month though, you guys.
No, but I mean, even shifting the focus away from you're going to be doing these field trips to getting to connect with the CTE opportunities and using some of that money. Just a thought, but I do think that something that we do really well, that has a lot of funds and EC time dedicated to it, that could be directed more towards CTE.
That is one of those things that answers these three questions right here. Field trips falls into it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's keep going, and we'll come back to these, right? I'm sorry, what?
Well, I was just reacting to some of these field trips and experiences that we've been, that's something special, the activities, value and reason. But I think it's back to board leadership is how do we create a foundation or a fundraising ability to pay for those and offset some additional, maybe chaplain support, so it's not such a burden on the teachers. We have to figure that out. But that's why I was right there.
Right, we're gonna come back to these, slides.
Otherwise, what are we, what are we? I mean.
Yeah, and start answering some of these questions.
Okay.
So, other threats, next round of legislation, we know they're coming. They're coming specifically for, did you want to add something to that? I'm sorry, I'm looking.
I have a question for you. When you talk about field trips, I know that like going on a field trip from North Bay is like a lunar launch for like.
I don't. Some of them are small, some of them are huge. Sorry, yeah.
I'm agreeing. So my question is, are you talking about saving dollars or time?
Both.
Or just redirecting those dollars and time to CTE and still field trips with CTE field trips.
Yeah, the solution. All right, moving on. Threats. Next round of legislation, it will be directed absolutely towards non-classroom based schools. That's a given. California dashboard not demonstrating our students' individual performance could lead to non-renewal. Serving predominantly high school students and so few students test on state assessments can lead to non-renewal for the same reason as the bullet above that. Special education obviously is very, very expensive, and it is limiting I'm so old school. Totally encroaching.
Thank you.
Hey, I had you on here as an opportunity too.
Oh, that's good.
You weren't in the room. You were as a strength and an opportunity. Teacher shortage. I knew there was one of these in there. I knew it was in there. Other threats, potential lean management structure, and the loss of any one of us. We're a small organization. This is built on founding person that I have been so fortunate to surround myself with the last 10 years. Also, all right, other things that are hanging out there, threatening our business.
Our logo, I'm just kidding. Crap, we're developing a new logo. Sounds great. It sounds like a good idea.
All right, so,
I have a logo, but it was a saying we had, which, and I think generally applies. It was that it's quality over quantity. And the quality is whatever we're going to do, now this is difficult, whatever we're going to do, we're going to be really good at these, I mentioned before, my thing was 2 or 3 things. We're going to cover this kind of stuff. And some of the stuff we got to do that gets required, but it's only in name only in some cases. But applying quality over quantity means I really forget about doing good at teaching this kid X. In math, we're not getting anywhere, and I'm going to cover with that. You see, this doesn't get it anyway, so he didn't get it. Time will help me teach this kid. But anyway, if you apply that basic theory on most stuff, and therefore you prioritize your time, you prioritize your money, and you feel good about where you got. So you know you got there, or you did the best you could. In some cases, this doesn't work. Where it goes? We try it next time. Worked this year, didn't work the following year. But I think that's an important thing to apply everything as best you can. Some things require to be done in one piece. Okay, I'll do the best I can, but I'm not all the time, if I can get away with it. Now, some cases, something comes up out of the field, and you gotta stop everything and go to it. But if you can generally avoid those, or at least keep them in, but I would apply that theory, that kind of basic thought process, and it's trying to do really good stuff in a few things. It's like at home, you know, we can do redoing your house or whatever, you can't do the whole house, I'm gonna take one and really do a super job there, and then next year we'll do the other one, whatever it is. And then it's fun, then at the end you go, look at this place, it took a few years, but we got it done, it's really cool. So anyway, that takes time, and it takes patience, but it's a lot more fun, actually, and maybe you made a difference and you know you did. That's cool. All of your requirements.
Got it in there. So may I suggest moving forward, just, there's a bunch of different ways we can do this, and I was really going to leave it up to the board. And one suggestion is we go through our weaknesses and challenges, and we prioritize. What is it that we can focus on that answers the ultimate question, how we would become a better version of ourselves? And then we tackle the opportunities and how we're going to do it.
I think it's very reasonable.
I think so.
We prioritize what are our biggest threats.
Our biggest
weaknesses. Yeah, that's the right way to do it.
So, because the threats are external threats. There's not a lot we can do about them, but our weaknesses, challenges.
That's fine.
So you got it, guys?
Yeah, I just want to, no, there's a break. It's almost 12.
Yeah.
So
We're gonna do that now, today?
Yes.
The strategic planning meeting.
Well, we've been listening all day.
Okay, so here's the game plan. We're going to look at our weaknesses and our challenges, and we're going to determine which ones, let's say, we will categorize them as things that we need to focus on and or the priority. And that's a little bit different because there's different kinds of things on there.
So I want to make it safe for them. I mean, I am concerned that we're losing teachers. Our backbone is our program and our people. You guys are overworked and can't focus, and we've lost a few. That's the big problem. I mean, we're a service business.
We gotta figure out what we shouldn't be doing.
Yep.
And that's what I've heard, right? It's like, hey, we try to do all this stuff, and, you know, it makes it great, but then it doesn't.
So
Right.
it's something we can tackle. We're not going to solve it today, but we're going to say
Identify those things. Please
budget
identify those
/
things.
sustainability.
So on the sustainability side, identify the things that you think we should cut. Come back with that.
What should we not be doing?
Yeah.
Okay?
And on the other side of the ledger, what must we do to serve our students?
What are the things we have?
Yes.
And there's a big gray area where we.
Listen, guys, what does this mean? Let's hear from you. What this means is, for example, we've added, since I've been city manager, parks and a lot of facilities and a lot of beautiful plazas and art pieces. And I haven't hired one more maintenance person. But I'm not so naive to think that works, because the council desires a look to our community, and it's unacceptable if that slides. So what I've told our team, I'm not into hiring more full-time people, but what I've said is, what do we do best? And as we add park space, and as we add, how do you refocus on the core of your work that's most important? I.e., what does that mean? The most public visible spaces. The things, the handicraft things that they're really good at fixing and dealing with, they don't trust to turn over to someone else. I've had them work through that, really narrow on what is the heart of their job and the heart of our community. And then I said, okay, then I have to hire out the rest or consider alternative service delivery to the rest. Go ahead, Lindsay.
No, it's like.
That's what I'm asking you to think about.
Can I use your analogy
Yes.
for our school? So the heart of the core focus of the job, the thing that they don't want to give away is the relationships they're building with their families and students.
Say it one more time, I couldn't see you.
They refuse to give up, and I very strong my conviction, because I've talked to all of them, is the relationships they build with these families. That is their focus, that is driving them, that is whatever the lens that they look through, and that cannot be outsourced.
Okay.
Let's talk about that. That's like the most trying to get the thing that they're,
Correct.
right?
It takes a lot of time to build those relationships and foster those relationships and respond to the needs of their families, so they feel like they're being supportive to their students and to those parents. So that's the thing
Okay.
for you.
That's the problem, is what they really like is what eats up all the time and creates the issue.
Well, the 16 things they're doing.
I would argue with you that that isn't what's taking up their time.
What is?
Their mental energies, yes, but their actual time is like program time supervision, administrative tasks, things like that. Their energy and their mental focus might be on, and the thing that stresses them out is that they have to do those, they have to be on the floor, they have to supervise kids, they have to deal with discipline. But in their mind, the whole day is, I have to talk to this kid, I have to talk to this kid, when am I gonna talk to this kid, or I need to talk to this kid, but they're physically doing the other things. Does that sort of make sense? Yeah.
But, so, and again, just to fin, but, so I hear that because I experienced that as a teacher. Everything that you just said, or as a principal, or as a superintendent. But then we looked at ways to craft our day in order to designate focal times to do those different things.
Yep.
And whether at the middle school level, when I was a principal, it was, the teachers have preparation periods, or we had early release day, where there was a designated time for specific tasks, and we didn't meet every early release day. Every other Wednesday there was 2 hours dedicated to grade level or shared grading of rubric-based work samples. So there are ways by which to keep those priorities, but to give them boundaries. And in giving them some boundaries, what I learned from that is I learned to prioritize how I was going to use that time in service to the outcome.
What Board Member Harrigan saying is, go fix that.
Well, I'm saying that there's models of best practice. I think in education, what I've learned too is we often feel that we have to invent it because it's unique to us. And there are there's lots of best practices perhaps that we can reflect ourselves on, but also could look to other systems.
Correct. So.
And that may mean that then it shifts how we normally do business. Maybe you have an hour 3 times a week where you're off the floor and you have your, we call it different preparation period or office hours or grading time or whatever it might be. But then the challenge of that is then the staff member has to take that invitation and use the time in that way and not say, oh, I can't do this because I have to make this meeting.
And that's exactly what the grenade committee is, exactly with admin. Exactly.
When will we get a grenade committee report?
You're going to update tomorrow.
I'm sorry, but I didn't mean to.
No, you are validating.
Because that's not what this process is.
But Kevin, you are validating exactly where it is headed for all the reasons that the entire board is saying we need to go there. So I appreciate that.
But I'm also doing, in this space of strategic planning, I shouldn't offer.
Okay, we're not going.
Okay, so we are looking at financial sustainability budgets, major challenge, the program, the workload of our team and staff, what they must be doing, what they need to drop, and how that focuses on how we serve our students. That's what I'm seeing so far. Other comments in this area? Please. These are good discussions.
Well, is growth off the table?
I think it is. That's a fair question to ask.
And the reason I ask it is the way I see, very simplistically, by the way I see this is where we're located in some of the larger areas, North Bay and Riverside. Those are large populations where, at least in North Bay, we're making a profit on per student. The smaller locations are not. Then there's plenty of places in the state that we're not covering. And the way I view it, if we think the pivot education should be allowed to more students, we should find an avenue to do that if it makes financial sense.
So my reaction to that is we got to get some things figured out in our lives first before we would even think about that. I think that
we're all
under stress.
are, which
Well, it's against the law for 2 years, right?
my understanding is,
6 years to do one anyway, but.
well, it'll take time, but my understanding is that's virtual, or is that?
So independent study.
It's actually just facilities. You can't, well, I'm sorry.
It's
No, wait,
independent study?
we cannot have an independent study charter school authorized within 2 years.
Right, we can't apply for a new charter for 2 years.
But it would take that long anyway. Let me just
Okay.
put that one into perspective. This is one possible solution to other things.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily have to be where we go right now 100%, but it is, and it always has been, and Pat brought it up too. I'm sorry she's not here, but that it is a possible solution to some of the bigger things. But again, this is not what this entire meeting is about, but it is one solution.
Lindsay wanted to share some insight.
I do, sorry.
You've got more restraint down,
I
but
know.
keep it up, I see it. Good job.
I just wanna iterate to the board, because you might get it all the time, but adding another site really adds a lot of work for some of the administrative staff, significantly.
Yes.
So doing like the school accountability report card 4 times seems silly, but it's a lot of time, and you'll be getting the LCAS in June that I work on, and I make 4 of those, and then you'll be individualized each site and all of that stuff and data for each site. It's a significant amount of work, so while I'm not saying don't do it, I'm just saying just keep in mind you're gonna have to support the administrative staff, in that.
In the conversations that I had with the few board members that brought this up, it wouldn't even be you, or necessarily me. So, I mean, at least that's something that Pat suggested, it's something that Steve echoed. If this is something that Rose Education Organization sees as an overall possibility to support all of our schools and options, it wouldn't be these peaks necessarily. It can't be, and we know that, and Pat had a couple of ideas on what that would look like. So I don't want to throw this off the table long-term as something that you all need to discuss as an organization. And Jim, you said this like 3 years ago. Rose Educational Organization is allowed to do a lot of things.
Yes.
Education is not just about starting charter schools.
That's right.
What have you. So that is also what Pat echoed.
In respect to renting our facilities, allowing some of our umbrella to sponsor the programs for some money that those run, I mean, I don't know. We haven't had the ability to get there because the admin team is tapped.
Yeah.
And one of the things we realize is the admin team cannot grow for sure if the organization doesn't grow. That's loud and clear to me. I want you to hear me say that. Jane and I have had that conversation, which means there's no more you people can do. So that is our limitation. We've been able to grow admin and have other potential positions as a result of scaling up. But I think we need to assume that we're not anymore. And so then it's a matter of, okay, back to our challenges, how do we keep our teachers? How do we keep a program sustainable? How do we still maintain a program with the focus on the kids the teachers are doing to keep our grades up and allow us to prove to Gina and her colleagues that we're worth having around? I mean, to me, these are still these, right? That's where I still see our...
Jenny has a
Yeah, Jenny, I'm sorry, I can't see you. Please
Sorry,
speak.
I'm trying to, it's a very small one.
Right, and just along the lines of keeping the teachers, so I hear what everyone's saying about the amount of time and that there's not enough time, but also of the responses we got on this little handout, 7 of the 15 mentioned specifically that they love tutoring or teaching directly students. And so I do think that that's like, when we're considering teaching or keeping teachers, how do we still give them those opportunities to be teachers?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's something separate from just the relationship part of it.
Mm-hmm. And again, that's going to fall on the EC Grenade Committee to keep in mind, and you have it all, that's why I presented it to you. I mean, so but again, we are not a classroom-based organization. We are independent study. So where is that in between? You know, I apologized to the group of teachers yesterday. I said, if you are here and you sincerely feel like you miss teaching, I am really sorry that we didn't do a better job when we interviewed you. Because we tell you very clearly, both in the job description and in the interviews, you will not be doing lesson plans and backwards mapping and having direct instruction and, you know, sitting in front, a sage on the stage. I use that all the time when I'm in an interview. You're not going to be the sage on the stage. This is independent study. Your job is to ensure that the students get through is not to teach them everything, to get them through. That's what we have the canned curriculum for lack of better terms, right?
We have about 17 minutes on this. So
What
there
are,
things,
let's keep going as far as, I'd like to
Well,
take
can
this in
I-
order so we
can I-
don't miss any
But
on the slides.
to grow or not to grow, you and I also talked about, it's really looking at efficiencies. I mean, I heard this morning some places where there is a lack, that the efficiencies could be realigned.
And that kind of comes in here, what should we do and not be doing, and how can we be more efficient with what we are doing with
Right.
efficiency?
And that can tie into grow or not to grow. I mean, there are some efficiencies that we do well that could facilitate growth within the current program.
let's go back. Thank you, Kevin. Back to your notes.
Okay.
Let's make sure so I want to try and spend about 5 or 6 more minutes. We have
All right.
good time on the other.
Salaries, I'm deferring to the board because this is not a horse I want to keep beating, but it was suggested in my individual conversations that perhaps we do need to look at this, and it's a board fiscal thing.
I think we figure out one, and then we figure out that. I think none of us are going to say we pay our teachers too much. So it's a matter of then, okay, we have to figure out what opportunities we can take advantage of and to a pot to do so. Because what I'm hearing you all say is, we can't do anymore, we need help, we really don't like grading, we love the input with our students, we need more third-party help over here, ching, 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 so now the cash register's rolling, and that's even less to give to you. So we have to figure out, how do we grow? We can't probably grow the pie, I don't believe that.
Other places we can cut.
So we have to tighten up contracts. I think we can renegotiate, we'll do that later, I'll stop. There's things I think we can do to bring back some resources that can be reapportioned to address indeed this priority. That's why we're doing this. Okay, so that's fine, go ahead.
But,
You want to say it?
Go ahead.
Okay.
no, I'm just, my advocacy is just that our priority be that the board make a decision in regards to salaries and our long-term implementation. Because we always say we're not going to come back to this, and we come back to it every year. And since I've been on the board, it takes on a new, it's redefined every year. And so therefore, there isn't anything systemic, which I also see staff is asking for. So, I'm just,
No, I hear you, I agree with you.
so my advocacy.
And I think so does the board. We do have something systemic now that is set in stone, that's what I'm saying. And it's only for credentialed teachers, it's not for admin, which is what we're bringing back to you in March, so now you asked me to do that last year, it is coming to you. And classified. So you all successfully helped us get one piece of the systemic salary stuff in there. It's just, people are saying, is it enough? And that all relates to this, so you're right.
I mean, we've got to look at everything. We're kind of a break-even operation, so what do you want to do?
Yeah,
right?
something's got to give.
Yeah, it's like, all right, well, you need more money, if it's not more money, well, all right, we'll look at expenses.
All right, other ones. I think we're already addressed nationwide teacher shortage. We need to keep that in our mind, that it's not easy to get teachers. So that's all part of what we're talking about here in the compensation and looking at what we shouldn't be doing and efficiencies and making their jobs and teacher retention. The things that they enjoy doing, like having the relationship. The other thing about relationships, the data is telling us the more time a teacher has with their individual student, it results in greater student performance and attendance. Just remember that, because that is what the data is telling us. That is driving a lot of what we're making decisions on the program around.
And under the virtual condition or under the shared?
Both. The problem is the shared doesn't have the time that the virtual teacher has. Therein lies what we're focusing on fixing.
I can't analyze that comparison because it's apples and oranges.
We'll bring it to you in March. You're right, you don't have all the data to be able to compare it. You're right. CTE program. Is it something, it's a priority or is it not a priority? Come on, speak up, guys. Speak up loud, Lee, please.
I'll take it. So on the dashboard, there's a college career readiness indicator, and there's lots of ways to achieve what's called a point for your students for meeting certain benchmarks. Some of those benchmarks are just unattainable by nature. We can't really do too much. For example, a student needs to take all the E through G criteria in order to get points. Well, most schools don't have science labs, so they cannot get one of the letters. And that's just not going to happen. So trying to make that happen by having a new prep academy and college counselors, where we already addressed that, we saw that wasn't successful, is probably not the most efficient use of resources. But so focusing on the CTE actually incorporates into that college career readiness indicator on the dashboard. So there's a mixture of college and career, and so I think we could shift energies into the CTE portion of that indicator.
And when you look at like who our students are, and you prep going to college versus working out of college, like we're really better helping our students, meeting them where they are by setting them up in careers right out of high school.
The state's requiring it, it's good for our kids, we're not doing it right now, it's in our LCAP. In my mind, it's gotta be a priority. And we will come back with how much it would cost to make it a priority the next time I see you. Good?
There's going to the motions, and there's actually being qualitative. And if we have kids, there are certain things you gotta do, like I said. But our kids normally, vast majority are gonna be career oriented when they're gonna come out. Okay? Then that, I know it's easy to say these things. That should be the priority, to take care of that. It'd be nice if we could do this other thing, we'll try to do something else. We can't. I'm saying, this is where you make those choices. We really can't do much with this one over here, because this one over here is the most important by far, not even close. So the other one I'd like to, it'd be fun to do, it'd be great for these kids, and then we try to provide for it where we can, but it's not gonna be a priority. So, you're saying because the state says we can do it, and that's their ways, and it's easy for me to say, I'll take that. But the reality, maybe this is one of those cases where there's a fork in the road, and this one becomes it, and this one, we gotta do it, but we're just gonna give a little bit to get away with it. Okay? Because I gotta decide something here.
Well,
I mean, I'm not saying it's absolutely true, but
you've
gotta get at something like that, otherwise you will still go crazy.
Yep, no, you're right, it can't be on top of other things. It's got to be a set of things. And that goes into what are the things that we are doing that we don't have to be doing. If we're going to do it, if we're going to pursue it 100% or half-assed. Are you okay with saying, yes, boys, staff go back, figure out what level of it, and if you're answering the numbers, you can't just add this and say it's more money.
To me, in the next 90 days, we, one, have to find more money in our budget to take care. We have to find more money in our budget to show it's sustainable and that we have some pot to consider other things. Mm-hmm. Then we have to take said money. I'm being more tactical about this because this is where we have to be. We don't have time to. We have to strike. And then I think we need to go, okay, with those extra resources, how do we address retention of our teachers and maintaining our program in a different service delivery? That's what we're hearing. And then, once we figure that out, what services must we deliver well? And CTE is in that. I mean, to me, those are the questions and the priority of which we have to answer this. Otherwise, we could spend hours talking about something we can't afford and lose more teachers. That's not acceptable to me. So, I don't know if my colleagues agree, but to me, that is the summary of the order. I think anything else, forgive the term, is kind of academic. I mean, we have to address these issues and move. So,
Okay, now, find the money.
we agree with that?
I got very well said.
Keep teachers, add CTE, get rid of some of the.
No. We need to figure out where we go on our budget. Money, and then with said resources, how do we then use resources to retain teachers? And that is then, within that retention of teachers is pay and alternative service delivery for the things that they can't won't do, or need to, and that's, they're gonna tell staff, the grade committee, we're not gonna tell them that. Okay, then, with what's left, how do we use that to prioritize what's us, and CTE is part of that. I mean, that is important, we heard from our authorizer, that's important, that is part of us. So to me, that's an action plan, that now we're gonna come back to opportunities and see where we can fill in.
Got it. Find the
Yes,
money,
Liz.
make the bucket of money to retain teachers, which reflects on, I just want to make sure I'm hearing this right, writing this down right. Pay, alternative service delivery models, and then, after all of that is done, we get down into our priorities, and that's when we discuss if and when we can do CTE or anything else that's on the table.
Let me ask the teachers, when I say that and line that out, do you feel heard? Raise your hand if you do. If you don't, that's fair enough.
Keep in mind,
So people aren't hearing me, so I think my idea is crap.
I will present some of the teachers.
No, I don't want you to.
Well, then they only
They're sitting
have
in front of me.
two.
Well, the staff sitting here, sorry, if what I say show we're hearing you and we're spending correct time and priority on the right things, if not, I am gonna put you on the spot. You're the senior staff, you need,
You gotta tell us.
Tell us.
Can't be afraid to tell us.
I just lined up.
Reiterate it, find the money, have a bucket of money, figure out where we can have cost savings or expenditures in order to retain our teachers, not only with pay, but also non-monetary benefits, and finding alternative service delivery to make their jobs more doable and livable. And then, once we've done that, if there's anything left over, we decide what other things to prioritize, one of which is maybe CTE. I'm just trying to reiterate, did I say that clearly?
Yes.
Is that what you, okay.
Okay, but,
Yes.
and I agree with Jim to a point. I think the first 2 points are define our service, understand our budget and the cost, and where we may be able to identify other resources, and then have a prioritization of what are the mandates. You know, what's required, and are we meeting the mandates? And
Are we doing too much?
and understand that how the mandate can be implemented. And from that understanding, be able to then say, with this resource, we can allocate this for this, and we have no allocation for this.
That's what I think I'm saying. The grenade report's gonna guide a lot of those conversations.
I will make sure that mandates, the things that are non-negotiables according to what we have to do as a school, for example, increasing test scores, for example, I will make sure those mandates, because that falls into this, what should we be doing versus what can we just get rid of? We can't get rid of certain things, they're mandates, as Kevin said.
And the mandates have different, depending on their priority with the state, they have timelines for implementation, and they have different needs for resources for implementation. I mean, the CTC implementation was to happen over a period of time, and there are some entry-level points that don't, it's been my experience from the beginning of the implementation 5 years ago, we could begin it with a minimal impact to the schools and the sites, and we met the mandate. All right, so I'm reiterating what Tom is saying, but there's ways to legitimately meet the mandate and follow the state guidelines, and the state recognizes that we have limited resources, so they offer us ways in which to do that in a way that is less impactful. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We here as a board, I could go to the CDE website. I'm working on a project right now with an independent contractor in business around the CTE standards and how they correlate with their employee hiring. So I've been investigating that, and there's lots of ways by which that can be done.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say I don't necessarily see the correlation of additional staff in the first steps of the implementation. So, I think we have to understand as a board how things can be implemented to make an informed decision.
And I appreciate that, because that's what we'll bring back to.
Liz is trying to share something.
So maybe this is not what normally the finance person would say, but, I think Chairman Lewis, what you outlined as sort of our procedure of prioritizing, it makes sense, but I want to also point out that we need to also make sure that we are not having budget drive program exclusively. It's something that is brought over again and again, where sometimes people say, what do we want to do with programs? And have all these big pie in the sky ideas, and then, oh my gosh, we're never going to be able to afford that. It's always back and forth, but sometimes you see schools where the budget person says, here's what we can afford, now program people, figure out what you can do with this tiny amount of money. And I just want to make sure we're not driving the conversation in that direction.
Right.
Because we can't stifle the sort of programmatic creativity and make it so that we're not.
Well, I would suggest that you take place in different rooms. I mean, I think that you need to continue the grant committee and the program work that you guys are doing, because I can't tell you how to do I don't know. What I do know is I can renegotiate health insurance contracts, I can renegotiate with EdTech, and I can renegotiate I get that part of the business, and see what I can come to the table with. You guys say, well, here's what we need. You weren't doing what you needed to do, once we say, here's what you get. And then we meet and see, okay, what do we got? Here's your organizational priorities and lists and things you need. Here's the resources we were able to come in with from a cost realignment, from a foundation goal, from a fundraising goal. Those are things we need to work with her on.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. I appreciate what you're saying.
Yeah,
Does that work or not?
Yeah, I think as long as we're not,
Hand in hand.
yes, if it's hand in hand, obviously that's how it should be. I just want to make sure that the directional flow of first we need to find money, and then, I just want to make sure everyone knows that it apply, that you will get nothing.
Well, as long as you get it, because you're the maestro that needs to be.
No, but I mean, I agree with you, Liz, I understand what you're saying, because I always led that way, but we have to identify the priorities and understand the implementation, and then see what resources it needs. And that response, what resources it needs, doesn't always have to be physical.
Yep, no, I agree. And that's exactly what Dr. Halverson said to me. He said, Janet, your staff should know, you should know, this is where we're at, this is what we're not doing, this is, we can throw all this crap out, you should know what that is, you gotta go through that, you gotta figure out what the heck you need to do, and you have to tell us how much it's gonna cost. And so those two things have to happen at once. And I think we've gotten pretty far down the road in figuring out what those are. I'm okay with that. I'm good with it. You good with that?
Yeah. I just have my second point that I wanted to make too, just from an opportunities and moving forward, progressing discussion of how do we find money in our budget. One thing that has come up over and over again is fundraising, and I know we spoke to that, is something that we have not invested significant time in, and obviously, as you know, as you said, our admin team is capped, so we don't necessarily have a lot of time to, come up with a whole fundraising plan. But fundraising is something that we historically have not done well. And so I do think that while we don't want to be overly ambitious and say, oh, we're going to fundraise, $80,000 a year at, a small site, and put it in the budget, so we don't have to be pie in the sky, but I do think it's something that we should be pursuing more actively.
So on that note, I have the board here. Board, you have committed to doing this first. Where can we get some more money? I have you here. Yes, you're going to talk on your own as well. Staff will do mandates, efficiencies, what we shouldn't be doing versus doing, relationships, teacher sustainability, retention, prioritizing the programmatic things that we need to do that we're not doing, improving on after we decide what we don't need to be doing. We can do that. We will have to run with that, right? Those are the things staff should be doing, right? We will come back with that for you in March. What we must be doing to serve our kids, what falls under all those things that we talked about that but addresses some of the issues that are on the teacher surveys, and whether it's, all that. So I have you right now for another, half hour you're going to give me, right?
Yep.
So can we talk about this then while you are here?
Yes, and then you get what you need to get.
I mean, that is.
And frankly, I think what we should do tomorrow, it's not on the agenda, so we can't do it. It's too late to put something on the agenda. See, we know the Brown Act here at charter schools, making it clear for the Whoever's listening,
Those are watching.
so,
There are many of you.
what I would like you to do, though, is at some point, when you have a little more clarity, summarize some of this, and just hand it out to us. And in our individual meetings we have with you, we can comment to you about that going forward towards March. That would be helpful. Okay, so you want to focus on that? Go ahead. I'm sitting 30 minutes.
Yeah, so, Staff, you got that, right? You got what we're doing. I mean, more of what we're doing, explaining to them. But what we've done today is you've seen the data, you've heard from them, why it's gonna be what we're bringing back to you. Right? Yeah.
Right, but you made the finance, this more program stuff than that financial, that doesn't work. I mean, we're running a business.
Yeah.
You make that clear all the time. We're running a business.
Yeah.
Business must, money gets in and spends, must essentially every year be about the same. Otherwise, it's gonna go on.
We can spend it all.
Yeah. We do.
Correct.
As the things got to do is what it feels like.
Correct.
So when you look at programs, they're going to be cost. We get cost saving. That's a step issue.
Okay.
Where can we eliminate? I mean, you talk. I'm just saying the board's going to deal with this.
Yeah.
I don't see it that way at all.
I see what you're saying.
Okay. There are basic things. I don't know enough about what's out there, what you can do, what you can eliminate. Where the potential sources of income, and you can think about those. I don't know what they are. But at the end of the day, we're going to say to you, we're in a business, is the budget balanced the way it's being projected, and is it reasonable, the assumptions you've made? Okay, and now we know the enrollment's flat, so that, for most school districts, is a big issue. Because they now longer getting COLA of 2.5%, but they got costs that are in, health insurance goes up, the rent might go up, and where are they going to get the money to pay for all that? And they want to pay more? Can't do all that stuff, so where it's going to come from. So that's, to me, is you have to look at the whole place and go, okay, priority of service programs, what can we not do anymore that would be better off for us? Can we save money in certain places to help balance the budget just on its entirety, getting to an additional?
Correct.
But I think to my mind, that's between you and Liz, and the Liz's job is to say, well, I don't know, that's an assumption we can't live, they have to be negative. You never want to program people to do the financial person, but their job is about a balance.
Yes.
So to me, it is the staff thing.
This is all staff.
She has to be adult in the room to some degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't afford that.
This
They
is
have to
all
be negative.
staff deciding and bringing it,
Okay, well, that's what you know. The financial part is back to staff.
True.
We're just, my view, we're trying to say set some priorities, but you have to find places to save money.
Yep.
And time on people's time as well.
Yep. So we need to bring time and money savings, and that was number 2 on the other.
Or time and money funding.
Yeah.
Going
Well,
back
yeah,
to what
so
Liz was
revenue,
saying,
there's revenue and then there's savings.
I often found that we had to have multiple funding sources to meet certain goals. I'm not talking about commingling, but you can find multiple sources that are aligned to the same program outcome, because you don't have enough money in one to reach the outcome.
2 different categories, some of which staff does, but again, I have the board, I only have the board 4 times a year. I need your expertise. There are things like Title I. I am not a fundraiser. Steve is a fundraiser. I don't know a hell of a lot. We've just been brainstorming. But how far do we want to go with this? You need to direct this a little bit as a board, right? It's not a staff thing, right? Fundraising, no, it's not a staff thing. Cutting costs, finding efficiencies, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, staff can do that, right? So, you had mentioned, Dr. Chairman Lewis, negotiating contracts, renegotiating contracts.
Yes.
Again, I'm turning to you for your expertise on this, because it is not something that Liz and I do on a daily basis.
So I'm saying that some of us will review, I think some of your key relationships are EdTech, health insurance, charter safe. Those are some of the big ones I'm thinking of. One of the big contracts, Liz, are out there.
That's it, right there.
Those are 3. I think each board member, where we feel comfortable, could try that. Our leases.
Facilities?
I don't think our leases can be renegotiated.
I mean, I don't know, I'm just trying.
We wouldn't.
I'm gonna get rid of one of them.
Wait.
You saw that earlier.
Yeah,
So that's one.
for sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna put leases on here, because there are.
I mean, I don't know.
Our facility costs are much higher than they were. That's true, right?
Yeah, but that's true everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm still.
Yeah.
And I would say, this question about, is there any way to use the anything else, I mean, they get.
Well, again, that's where leases come in. Right now, our lease is precluded, so it cannot be negotiated.
Yes. Good. Tutoring centers that need space, some other city recreation programs, believe me, we're always trying to find places to put stuff. We don't have space anymore. I mean, there's so many not home. So we want to teach Korean to students on the week, there's nobody can do it, the Korean community, or just things like that. They don't, or whatever it is.
We don't, this is completely, operational. We don't fall under facilities use
No.
mandate.
No.
Well, because remember, Roads Education Organization is a business of Pivot Charter and other, right? And these leases are Roads Education Organization.
Yeah, my question.
To be more clear, we don't follow DSA.
Yeah, that's.
We follow local city ordinance.
Okay.
That's what
Because,
that means.
Yeah, I know.
Because there's a, you
Yes,
understand.
there's a big difference. DSA is a whole nother.
That was by design, long ago. Okay, what else do we have?
So,
So, negotiating contracts, and this is all under cost savings. There's a bunch of stuff staff needs to look at. I'm just talking, I have my board now. What else came up? Fundraising, it's under revenue, fundraising.
I think we have to really talk about, Steve, you're our expert, what feasibly can we can't ask the staff to go fundraise as they're out of gas. So I think we as a board have to figure out what resources do we have.
Well, first of all, it really has to be a shared responsibility, that there has to be staff in place to manage the process. But what we need are the products or the services that we can offer that are going to be really interesting to a philanthropic organization. And so that comes back to what are the things that we really want to accomplish? Let's get those down, let's get the budgets for them, and then we can turn that into something we can sell.
So like an example for you guys, Chico, Travis, okay? One of my very good friends is the CEO of Doc Bernstein's Ice Cream. It is over the Chico location. I'm not sure if you've been there or not yet. They're very cool.
They're going on Monday.
They're very attractive. I could easily work out, because they're trying to grow their base and get out there. I could easily probably work out for the next 4 months through school a pivot night, where we get 20% of the proceeds. You could probably raise $2,500 to $3,000, and that would cover some of your field trips. Absolutely. That would require some parents and kids to show up to ice cream, and for still everyone in Chico to get ice cream that night. It's small, but it's not. $3 grand for your field trips or prom or whatever is a pretty good thing. And I would be able to facilitate that for you. You just have to show up to kids, scoop the ice cream.
I was going to say, that's an example, I think, of something that only staff can accomplish. I mean, you'll be able to do that.
Yeah, but they have to get the kids.
Right, but I, as somebody who is closer to Riverside or Corona, I'm not going to really have those kind of connections.
Yeah.
So it's got to be those who are closer to the school geographically, and so that's why it's got to be a shared thing. I'm thinking more of 5 and 6 or even 7-figure grants for X, Y, or Z. What are those? That's what a board member can spend his or her time on. Those community-based things, those are students, staff, parents, and really, I think, have to be. When we talked about events in one of the slides, I'm not a proponent of events for fundraising, because you're spending at least 50 cents to raise it all. And now, if we want to do an event like the 10th anniversary celebration that has another purpose, which is to get the name out, really promote ourselves, that's a great use of an event. Will we raise some money? I hope so. I hope we're planning to. But to use an event to raise money,
no, I agree.
There's so much you have to do.
We're not able to do that yet.
I'm not going to do another art event.
We're not there.
Another art auction. I've been.
Thank you, Steve. So our time, we got, where are we? We got 20 minutes. Go ahead, Devin, were you going to say something?
Well, I guess in looking at these fiscal questions, I know that my experience of late has been to look at total compensation and discuss employees' total compensation, which we had thinking around in my last district because of costs, and people often didn't see the expense of benefits and paid time off and So we redefined, we looked respectfully at everyone in the district, or everyone in the employee, as total compensation. You know, whether it's salary, benefits, opportunities for professional development, growth, stipends, you know, so that it was a total number of days off, so it was a total compensation understanding of cost.
We actually give every employee an individual piece of paper that says, this is your total compensation. The only thing we don't add to the list that you just rattled off were the days off and their work, so to speak.
Well, there were something in Stern.
Exactly.
Your unused vacation cost for a provider,
Yeah.
when you leave, I mean, whoever ends up with that pays that off.
Sure. No, that's good.
But
Everybody gets it every year.
But what I'm saying is we then took that entire view when we looked at any of the items that we were discussing in that total compensation package. And I'm not meaning to be disrespectful of the importance of salaries, but as the STRS contribution grew, we had to look very reasonably at, you know, historically we looked at salary compensation and didn't even look at the contribution of STRS. And when the STRS, it was just assumed that it would be assumed by the employer. And so when the STRS contribution started shifting, we really had to look at that. That's a paid compensation, and we had to put it together in the total discussion.
We've never done that. That's good. Thank you.
And it informs your decision making. That's my action.
What else? We're starting to, so that's where Tom's point, you don't have so much of this.
I think we have.
This lease thing that we have to figure out, I think Ralph and I, or Steve and Ralph, we've got to figure out this Riverside lease. Believe me, that's what, $4 grand a month?
Yeah, that's.
We've got to finance it, or pull the plug, or say, screw it and let them sue us, or, but this status quo is unacceptable.
Yeah.
Completely unacceptable, as on this board. We have to figure it out. We've got.
We gotta figure it out.
I'm looking like the three of us.
No,
Like, we're gonna talk about it this afternoon, because we're not a majority, it's okay, we're listening, we have to figure that out.
All right, other things.
I'm good.
There are things that the board can commit to,
Or we would like to discuss.
or tell us to work on.
Well, maybe when you showed us the slide about the cost at each site, you know, and then the overrun, and then you took out the element, and I'm going to be very naive because I don't understand this, but when you took out the cost of the elementary program in Riverside,
San Diego.
And I didn't take out the cost of the program, I just took the extra lease and moved them.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, because we're not mandated to have an elementary program.
Exactly.
And so, I'm going to be really bold and say it's costing us $16,000, and it's not cost effective, then we may need to consider not offering the program.
Correct.
Now, I'm being very bold here because I'm saying that without an understanding of everything.
So no, you are.
But those are the kinds of things you
Let
have to
me
look at.
just talk elementary real quickly so that you all are hearing it at once, right? Because I've been doing this individually.
And is that tied to the lease too?
Sort of, yeah, let me just tell you right
Do you
now.
understand what I'm saying?
So, we have 3 elementary programs, Riverside, North Bay, and San Diego. San Diego 2 years ago, we went because we had 35 kids coming, went and leased an extra space with your permission. That is no longer needed. Done. What we do with the elementary program is tied to what we want to do overall. We can move anything we're going to do site-based for that elementary program, because you're absolutely right, we're not required to offer anything site-based as an independent study school. But we can move it into San Diego's current facility, right? That's one thing. Change it, whatever. That's on us to do. To all of a sudden say we are no longer going to serve elementary is not necessarily an option for 3 reasons. one, all of our charters are written as K-12, and we will be in violation of our charter.
But they were when we started.
They are now.
That's a material amendment.
They were when we started.
If you just said,
They were 10 years
that was only gonna be virtual, you could have the same.
So, and we could say there is no site-based program for elementary and they all become homeschool. And again, look at the enrollment at San Diego and Riverside, not Northside, that's a different, with elementary. Can I replace those 14 kids that may leave us? That's $140,000 right there that would hit San Diego's budget as a negative if I all of a sudden say, nah.
But it also is gonna hit us on an expense.
There'll be some cost savings.
So we're not like the net.
Right, 9,500, yeah, 9,800, yeah.
I think you're gonna look at all programs.
Exactly.
And that is included.
It is, absolutely.
That what's our priority? We can do this, we'd like to do this, but this is a big thing, and this one would, we'd like to do it, but it's gonna save us money by not doing it. Or the transition and so forth and so on, and, there's a cost and there's a savings, there are two sides. And that's the stuff you're gonna look at.
Correct.
Say, okay, if we do this, but it helps us with the other part.
Yep.
And it goes back, I think, to what Gina said earlier too. What is our mission and what are the outcomes? I mean, my recollection is we began secondary and then systematically phased in middle and then phased in elementary.
And the reason why we did it is because the charters were written as K-12.
So we had, well, okay.
That is why we had to do it, to be honest.
But we have ways by which we can do it.
Correct.
So she's gonna look into that.
Yeah.
That falls under number two.
There are
What is it that we're
special
doing that we
costs
should not
also
be
shared with
doing?
those kids, so
That falls under, that's all of that, but I wanted to make sure,
Okay.
Cameron brought it up, it was a very, very valid, it should be our first thing, you guys are going, holy crap, guys, you gotta tell us what's going on here, is elementary, so I wanted to just throw it out. But that falls under two, what should we be doing and what we not doing? Yeah, yep,
You don't keep a program open if it's, or you.
Doesn't think it's great.
You shift it.
yep. All right.
What else do you need from us? A lot, but what, I think,
Pat asked to be able to have a strategic plan follow-up on the next several board meeting agendas.
that's a smart, a lot.
Yeah,
And we're not solving things here, and I'm only gonna be bringing pieces, we've gotta chunk this out. Yeah.
What I am gonna ask the board, for permission is for, Jaya and I to go through these notes and figure out if and where there's,
Yes.
there's follow-up work I need from each of you. I'll be contacting you and appointing a few board ad hoc committees that are, short-term to tactically address some of these things to report back in March. Or at least board members in particular that you can go back to, and so I'll check in with each of you and try and help do traffic control where the board can still be involved between now and March and keep going on these things. And then that'll give us something to follow up on, which keeps us going.
Yeah.
I think it's important. If the board's okay with that, I'd like to do that,
Yeah.
so we can have that conversation and figure that out.
move things forward.
Yeah.
And remember, because of our discussion about whether or not our budgeting process worked for you all last year, because we did it last year like we've been doing it for years, which is not a good reason to keep doing things, we all decided to have an extra board meeting that is a conference call board meeting in the budgeting process. And I'm really, really glad we did that because of this, if nothing else, not even mention the budgeting process. So we have that conference call board meeting in May. Anyway, yeah, so we have lots of things to bring back to you in March, and from there you give me our budget subcommittee, but then we meet again in May so that the rest of the board can be brought in the loop rather than waiting until June to all of a sudden string a budget in May.
Well, yeah, the May revised too.
Yeah. Okay? So we have the time, that's what I'm saying. We added an extra meeting.
Get your breath, look back through the
Yep.
notes. I think it's a good discussion.
Yep.
We've gotten ourselves a understanding to kind of recap. Easy to sit for hours and go, what do we do? I think we've recapped, one, that we have some real challenges. Two, that we have some resources. Three, that we understand there's some core things we need to focus on and do better. But that means we've got to drop some things and find other ways to do those services. We're going to go to our respective sides of the room and figure that out. The board needs to engage on some finances and revenue opportunities. we,
Build upon our excellence.
And so you have some ways to divert the work to different groups. Look forward to the Q&A report. We're gonna have our work. I think we all agree that, I appreciate, Steve, your willingness to want to grow. I think that's hard right now. I think we agree that we're confined a bit, constrained, and with those constraints, how do we continue to succeed? I think that I hope we're leaving with a common, final comments from board members and Gina as well about how you're feeling before we start today or what we heard.
I'll just say that I'm not sure that I want to grow, but I think that should be left on the table. Only because I think the stuff that we're doing right now, in 2 years, when we're through this, I think it will help us to grow if we decide to do that. So I would not want to just say we're not growing ever. I don't think that's healthy for an organization. That's my stance.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate that, I don't disagree with that either. I'm thinking from the perspective of now.
Yeah, of course, and we have to do both.
Yeah.
But strategy is about the future as well as the immediate present.
I appreciate that.
The only comment that I did get from OJ that he did ask me to bring forward for this relates to this, I'm sharing everything now, and he said, who wants to work for an organization that's not going to grow? Now, of course, he didn't mean that we're not going to get better at what we do and look at new programs and whatnot, but he literally meant, like, there's not a lot of people that want to come on to an organization if they see no future for some this bigger thing. It's just human nature. And again, it's not the here and now, but that was his input when I met with him one-on-one.
Okay, any other comments?
I just think it's good stuff to look at yourself and try and figure out, okay, what's going on, and have a conversation about it. We have these challenges, and what are we going to do about it? You know, and I mean, one of the conversations kind of comes back to the teachers of, hey, you want to do this alternative model, you don't want to go work in the school district and do all this bullshit, right?
Is that what I said?
That's okay. Thank you. That's frankly, I can't give you much more.
Forever now.
Doesn't bother me.
I know.
There's worse with the internet.
I know.
Don't you worry, there's things out there.
Everybody can start Googling. I know.
I think the conversation's a good one. It goes both ways. It really is.
I always thought that these are, you have to think more of it as opportunities.
Yeah.
There's some downside and some good side, and how can we become better at this, and you can grow, get better at a lot of stuff, but you have to eliminate something. Look what we get to do. Or we can get rid of this, but we get to do this, and that's a cool thing too. So I agree with you.
And I just advocate that, I always advocate in my leadership that we build upon our excellence and that we build upon the capacity which we have, seen ourselves develop towards. And often we have best practices either in place or perhaps even best practices that we stepped away from that we can reflect back on as a way by which to help us, again, recalibrate. Because I think, I want to look at the glass half full, because there's such excellent things going on. I also, I think this is a personal philosophy. I think I'm not clear as what we are defining as the role of teaching. Because I've heard throughout the day different definitions of teaching or different understandings of the responsibilities of teaching. And so it's a very complex responsibility. Facilitating instruction for students, relating relationally to the student, responding to the student's guardian as appropriate or as needed, implementing assessment strategies to inform your teaching. So assessment and grading is a function of instruction. And so I value that the integration of those responsibilities that I define or that I've come to know as the total, as the shared elements of instruction, of teaching. And so, I'll just leave it with that sentiment, with that statement.
And you're right, you have heard different things because it has become something completely different and we are in the midst of redefining it. So you are correct in what you picked up on, and that's what we're in the midst of saying, we need to better redefine this. You're absolutely right. My goal today was accomplished. It was to get staff, they represent the rest of your staff, and board on the same page about where we are and where we're gonna go, and we've slightly gotten to how we're gonna get there. We're not 100% there, we got work to do, and we got more information to bring back to you, but that was my goal, was for you all to know we're at a juncture. This is what we defined the juncture, and we're on the same page. That was my goal. My goal was met.
Gina or the staff team, any other comments, final comments before we adjourn to lunch and the rest of your workday? We appreciate you. Thank you, Gina.
Just a final, what I've come to know about these people in this room, that you deeply care about kids, and some of our most needy kids. So I thank you for that. And so it's coming back to how best to do that with your resources that you have.
Yeah.
Unlike your struggle with it.
Right.
That's your reason.
Okay, well, we will adjourn this meeting to tomorrow at 9 a.m. at the school site. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.